here. Apologies for the tardiness, Your Honor. I had trouble finding parking. I'm just kidding. My driver got lost. My name is Matthew Murdoch. I'll be representing Mr. Jacobson in this case. Hey, sorry I'm late.
No problem.
As a first point of order, I'd like to ask that the opposing counsel's motion to compel production of the defendant's client list be rejected, as it's not relevant to the litigation.
Who's this asshole?
Your Honor, I believe this information to be incredibly relevant given the nature of the complaint. There could be multiple instances of Mr. Jacobson's other clients sustaining injuries from faulty merchandise.
I believe Miss Walters will find that Mr. Jacobson's record as it pertains to customer satisfaction to be spotless.
Oh, if the defendant has nothing to hide, then why not hear from his
I would
clients?
say that's a gross invasion of people's privacy based on a very shaky what if.
This is a very common procedure in product liability lawsuits. It is material to the case whether this type of malfunction has affected other people. There is no inherent right to privacy when employing Mr. Jacobson's tailoring services.
But we're not just talking about a product here. The very nature of Mr. Jacobson's line of work, making suits exclusively for superheroes, necessitates anonymity. May I remind you that the Sokovia courts have been repealed.
Superheroes operate in the public eye. As public figures, it is assumed that there will be some loss of privacy.
The distinction here is we're not talking about celebrities. We're talking about superheroes who have enemies who will try to harm them, and the people close to them, the ones who didn't ask to be a part of this life. Now, Ms. Walters chose to have her identity be public, but it isn't up to her to choose for everyone else. This isn't about privacy for privacy's sake. If this information is not protected, not only would it ruin my client's career, it could put a lot of people in a lot of danger. And all over one man's misuse of a suit.
I'm in agreement with Mr. Murdoch. Motion to compel discovery is denied.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Trip Around the Multiverse with your host, Oh crap. Right, you say yours on. I'll think of it.
The man whose arm got healed by using the blood of his cousin. Yeah. Siwa Chung.
And the man who is so insecure of myself, I hack into a woman's social media and her phone and post dirty videos of her, Carl Charles. I would never do that. Just putting it out there. I'm not a creep. And we are going to talk about the last installment of the Phase 4 of the MCU, She-Hulk, Attorney of Law, a Disney Plus original.
Yeah. I was surprised actually that these episodes, when you take away the credits, right?
Yeah.
They're like 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
20, if, you know, the actual meat of the videos.
Yeah.
Like the series. And I'm like, oh, you know what? That's kind of cool actually, because it moves, it's kind of breezy and it goes by pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy it. It was not too intense. It was like just a little sprinkles of comedicness. It wasn't, integral to the MCU as overall.
No. Maybe
But
Hulk related, but no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what it was is fine of showing what happens. Like with Werewolf by Night, what happens in the other section of the MCU that don't need to have a whole movie to itself or something.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about this, right, the entire series,
Yeah.
it's not. If you watch it together, it's not run like a movie, because when you combine all the TV time,
Yeah.
right, it is probably about 3 hours, I reckon.
Yeah, about that, yeah.
Yeah. But it
just
doesn't
side
run
of
like,
it,
it's like, little self-contained episodes of here and there with a big story, like, branching behind it,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that. And, just the occasional randomness and the fourth wall breaking and stuff like that,
stuff about it,
Yeah. Enjoyable, breezy, and fun is how I think it's the best way to describe it. Nothing too serious. And it doesn't even take itself too seriously.
No. And
I
that's
felt
why... Oh, sorry, you carry on a bit.
No, I was going to say, well acted, I think, by the people that were within it. I mean, everyone, they played what they need to play, not to caricature levels, right?
Mm.
But some people go a bit like, not over the top, okay, but some people add extra oomph to the character, but they're not meant to be likable anyways.
Yeah.
I think there was the one guy that was completely over the top, but, he's meant to be, so.
Yeah. Yeah, because, that's why I kind of like this. It wasn't anything serious.
Yeah.
It was easy to watch. It it knew its target audience, because I know a lot of people I've spoke to complained about it, and I was like, I kind of like it because all the other, like, I've liked all the Marvel shows so far. Some of them are a bit better than the others, but they were all sort of too serious.
Yeah.
And to me, that's kind of getting tiresome, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So when they have like these comedy ones every now and then, and they don't take themselves too seriously, it's quite refreshing to me. It's like, oh yeah, it's just the easy watch.
Well, yeah, I don't know how much you know about She-Hulk before this, but I knew, okay, she did the full break, and I was like, okay, I wonder how they integrate it into this, without with the other characters in there, And I think they worked it fine. They wasn't too over the top.
No,
what they needed to do, and they just kind of put it on a level that, you know what, okay, but not too out of the realms of possibility. Not necessarily too out of the realms of possibility, because there's a couple of times she talks to the camera, and then she does the thing in the finale, right?
Yeah, I like that bit.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
I was like, okay, all right, fair enough. Yeah, but she doesn't do it all the time. It's not like
it's not Deadpool level.
Yeah, exactly. It's only in the finale where there was logic to it. It was like, well, okay, F it, not F this, but like, all right, let's just throw a couple of things out the window and do something else.
And that part I really enjoyed, because even they make a little joke about some of the criticisms that the MCU gets.
Yeah.
And it's good that they actually take that on board and say that, we are listening. So here's a little nudge, wink, wink to you. So
yeah,
it was.
Yeah. I'd say people, go ahead and watch it. You watch I think towards it gets more structured later on. Yeah. Because the first couple of episodes start the strings of what's going on. Then so if you but it sets the first episode kind of sets the tone ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got it's kind of wacky, but I will say this, right?
Yeah.
The CG sometimes, I know it's a TV show as well. Actually, you know what's kind of funny?
Yeah.
Aside from the CG on She-Hulk, there was not like a spectacular. I don't want to say not a lot of money thrown in, but what I'm saying is they didn't have spectacular set pieces or anything like that needed a lot of money. You know, there was like for a show that has a green CG character.
Yeah.
They kind of scaled back and didn't go over the top of what they needed to do.
No.
You know?
And I think if they kind of did, for the story told with this, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
They were kind of like being out of left field, like, okay, so this has been like sort of like a courtroom comedy / drama thing, and then you're going to do like a world-ending event, so it'll be out of nowhere like that kind of.
Yeah, nothing led up to it. Yeah, we're having it.
Hence the bit at the end, like near the end of the last episode.
And
it's like, see, they see what we're doing.
Yeah. I didn't mind the CG overall. I'd have to say when She-Hulk was walking around, sometimes it was a bit ropey. A bit too clean is what it was.
Yeah.
It didn't look like okay, so they had someone stand in for She-Hulk, like a lady painted up green and stuff in a muscle suit and stuff like that. Not too muscly though, right?
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a second. We'll get that in a second. Yeah, but that's what they had the lady there that was like 6'5" and to get the lighting done and stuff like that. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, fair enough. But it's like one of these things. Like I think they then tried to smooth her out a little bit more than they needed to because the CG on her cloth wasn't so realistic looking.
Yeah.
And sometimes the She-Hulk's walking around a bit too cleanly with what she's wearing.
Yeah.
If you like, so you can tell it's a CG character rather than an actual person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's a bit odd because if they got the reference, if they got the person there, then when you just need to CG the face, maybe there's different things. Yeah. But would you have preferred She-Hulk to be a bit more muscular?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. So obviously, proportionally to the size of What she should be, yeah. But when you see a Hulk up and he's massive, right?
Yeah.
And he starts from Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
And then you see Tatiana how do you what's the pronounce her name?
I can't remember.
Tatiana Mansley.
Yeah.
Maslany.
Yeah, Missolani. Yep.
And then she's kind of a bit more. She's not even leaner, I will say, but she's a bit more sleeker.
Yeah.
Like, okay, shouldn't she be a bit more bulkier than that?
I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird one. Unless
I'm not saying too bulky. I'm not like obviously saying China levels of bulky, right? China DX97 bulky, right? Because that's probably going to be like, a bit too much. And that's not how She-Hulk's drawn, anyways.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, you know what? I won't even say female bodybuilder size. But yeah, okay. Look, I want to say if Charlotte Flair was proportional, right, to the height of She-Hulk, maybe about that size.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because then she'd be bigger and wider as well, to the height of it.
Yeah. Because I know there's a scene in the episode just before the last one where she hulks out and she does get bigger.
Yeah.
Because of the anger bit. So I was like, that's cool. They're going that sort of route with it, like they did in the comics recently.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was alright.
Okay,
but yeah, CG would get roped sometimes.
Yeah, but for a TV show that's meant to be a comedy, it kind of didn't. It didn't do too much.
No,
it just was like, okay, huh? Right?
Yeah, because say that sort of CGI was in a movie, then I would complain more. But it's not.
Yeah,
so I'm okay with it. Yeah.
Exactly. And if she pointed it out as well as part of the fourth wall breaking, but it's just you don't want to point out things that you don't like. You shouldn't be.
Yeah, because that would be a bit too much if you point that out. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I say watch it. It's fun.
Yeah, same.
It has guest appearances as minor, like when you know, right? And when you don't know, you're like, all right.
Oh. Yeah. I enjoyed all the guest appearances in this. I thought it was good. Yeah,
I like the versions of them that were done for this film.
Yeah.
This series, live action.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, the randos in here, bunch of jokers.
Yeah.
All right, so double thumbs up or like single thumbs up? Would you say?
I'd give it
to watch it.
I'll give it double thumbs up because I enjoyed it from start to end.
Yeah. Was it, you binged it? I watched it episode by episode. You binged it, right?
I accidentally binged it on Sunday. I literally watched episode 1 to 8 without even realizing it. And then
was it just you didn't realize how many episodes were out there, or did you just be like, huh?
No,
okay.
I didn't. I sort of knew, but then I was like, okay, I'll watch one more. One more, and then next thing, like episode 8, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Would you say it's better to watch in binge?
Maybe, yeah. Because you're riding that train all the way through.
Yeah, it's exactly. That's why I think I might watch it again like that.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to take up too much of my time, anyways.
Nah. It won't.
But it might just make the story more. I don't want to say cohesive, but when you're like waiting on, okay, I wonder how this is going to go. I wonder how this is going to go.
Yeah.
It's not one of those where exactly it ends with cliffhangers all the time and stuff like that. You're like, ooh, what's going to happen next and stuff. You're like, I want to see what more of these characters do.
Yeah, and it's very. Yeah, I'll say try it that way. Yeah. Do that.
All right. Okay, so on to spoilers, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it starts off with randomly Jennifer Walters and Bruce Banner having a road trip.
No, wait! It starts before that, where she's in the.
Oh no! Sorry, yeah.
Yeah,
sorry,
which is so random. I was like, wait, what? Where she's already. Well, we all know she's a lawyer, but she's talking about a case with her best friend Nikki, who's her paralegal as well.
Yeah.
And then she goes, "Oh, you're gonna have to be if you want to get taken seriously, you have to be She-Hulk." And she's like, "I'm not doing that." And you're like, wait, what? Have I missed something? And then she goes, oh, wait. Oh, yeah. We forgot to tell you. Here's my origin. It basically says that. And then you see.
She walks out of the door. She goes, I forgot something. Then she walks back in the door. And then she looks at the audience and says, this is how we get started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah. Because it's like, it's a full break right away, but not right away.
No.
And she doesn't do it in front of other people.
Yeah.
But yeah, she then nudging us, winking the audience.
Like, wink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She and I did kind of like how this origin was set up as well. But basically, they're just driving a car for random reason, right? Road trip, family trip, whatever. Yeah, and she's just talked to Bruce about whatever.
Yeah.
And then there's like a spaceship from Thor, looking like it's from Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Appears in front of them, and they're like, "Oh no!" And she just pulls off the car to the side so they don't crash into it.
Yeah.
And they fall down like I don't want to say a cliff or just tumble off the road.
Yeah.
And Bruce with his arm from a sling from Endgame.
Yeah.
And then he's like, she pulls him out of the car. She's like, "Oh, Jenny, you got to get away because my blood and your blood, and we don't know what's gonna happen." But she's cut.
Yeah.
And then then she runs off, right? Because that's how you do, right?
Yep.
She runs. She gets away from him because first of all, you assume that he's going to Hulk up or whatever it's going to be,
He's angry.
So she quite rightly, obviously, he's like saying, "I might Hulk up, endangered blood pumping and stuff like that. Go away and get out of here." Right. And she runs off to the forest. And then she wakes up in the forest at night, and she happens upon a group of ladies outside a bar.
Yeah. No, lady. She goes into the bathroom.
Yeah,
that's it. And then the ladies are really nice. It was like, "Oh, you can't let any man treat you like this." She's like, "Wait."
Yeah, because their clothes are kind of, she looks beat up because she's just. Well, we know she's hulked out, but know, like when you see the remnants of afterwards, you're like, "Oh man." It's quite funny. I found it quite funny how basically they interpreted like, "You need to get away from him. He ain't good enough for you, girl." And I was like, "Oh yeah, what a joke!" And she's like, And they're trying to fix her up and everything like that, and she's like, "Oh no, I just need to use her phone." Your phone, and she calls Bruce.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, come pick me up from this bar over here." And then some dudes try to harass her.
Yeah. And she
tries to get away. And then obviously she tries to get away. They be like continue to harass. She then hulks out.
Yep. Kicks their asses.
Yeah, and then Hulk spears out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then when Jen wakes up, she's in Mexico.
Yeah.
Somewhere in like a randomly built forest area with huts and whatnot that Bruce sometimes stays at for no reason. Like I think he said Tony built it for him.
Yeah, him and Tony built it, and that's how he became Professor Hulk. And
and not only that, is like underneath it has the laboratories and stuff like that.
Yeah,
because the upper bit is like the upper part looks like a holiday where you were the tropic woodhouse thing with you. Yeah. And when you go down the stairs, it's like proper high tech lab. Yeah. So it's like, oh yeah, I'm back as Hulk, right? And my arm's fixed. So something's up with your blood, right?
Yeah.
That can fix me here. So let's go and start a little bit of experimentation and whatnot. You got to be here. I've got a manual because you hulking up. I've got a big fat dirty manual here, right? From when I was Hulk. And I was learning these things, and you got to learn these things now as well because you don't want to be out there causing all sorts of ruckus, And she's like, "I don't want to stay here."
Yeah. And then she just turns into the Hulk, and he's like, "Oh,
yeah,
okay."
Yeah, Bruce, stop chatting to me as though I'm a child and that stuff. Like, I don't want to be here. I'm gonna go and stuff. And then you're thinking, oh, she's gonna turn savage, right?
Yeah. She
just turns the Hulk, and she's like, "Oh, calm down." She goes, "I am calm," or something to that effect. And he's like,
"Oh,
huh?"
That took me years to figure out how to do. And
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then he starts training her how to level her powers and stuff like that. And I did like how he threw a rock a short distance, right, just to show her, she just to this is pick this up for you. She picks up, she throws it further than him, and then he had to. Then he's like, okay, fine, and he picks up another rock and he throws it even further than her. And she's like,
it to space.
Why, Bruce? Why? He's like, oh, okay, and it's not like it's just come off comedic, not like he's insecure or anything. But just like All right, fine.
I'll show you. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when they're jumping, like doing massive jumps and everything, like massive Hulk jumps.
Yeah.
And he's like jumping, bounding, and then she lands behind him, and she's like, ah, man.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. I mean, he's been a bit over the top with what he can do. He's been a bit of a show off.
Yeah.
But then of course, he's like, I can teach someone how to, and you're like, when you got your new junior and stuff like, oh yeah, this is the great things I can do.
Yeah.
Right? But it just starts getting a bit like you're buffing yourself up a bit too much, and you just gotta calm down. That's how it came across to me when she was doing that.
Yeah, same.
So that was jokes. And then she's like, I'm not gonna stay on this island, right? I mean, I've trained everything I needed to train. I know what I gotta do. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bruce, laters. I'm gonna head off, and he's like, no, you gotta stay here, all right? Until you actually have trained everything.
Yeah.
And he's like,
because he's like wants her to be a hero, and she's like, I'm not really about that. I don't really want to be a Hulk, so I like a change.
I just happen to be one.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. So she gets into a car, like one of the truck's vans, tries to drive off. He tries to stop it, and somehow, So I found this kind of funny that so first of all, he couldn't stop the car, but then his feet were off the ground.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I'm like, the weight that the Hulk is, right? Shouldn't he kind of crumple the front of it?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, I guess if Tony built the thing as probably some sort of reinforced car or whatever.
I don't know, because it's a car. Because she didn't like knock him over or anything. He was kind of like already leaning over it, so she just went with the momentum. So I guess that's why he didn't crush it.
Yeah. It makes sense. Yeah.
And then hijinks ensue. It's quite funny.
Yeah, exactly. And then he's like, "All right, fine." And
they start fighting.
Yeah, I like. Obviously, I'm being a bit too in your face. So yeah, if you don't have to, when he's back down, I'm like, you don't have to do anything. I'm sorry. I never meant to try and force you this way. Look. You can do. You do what you need to do.
Yeah, but if you need me, I'm here. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like one of those things where you're like, Bruce, yeah, you are kind of being a bit controlling.
Yeah. But you can understand where he's coming from, so it's alright.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's like, look, you might cause casualties or something like that, or people might swarm at you for something. So it's like one of those things where it's balanced, but he's like, you know what? Because she wants to go so much.
Yeah.
I think they had that tussle and they basically destroyed the thingamajig huts, right?
The hut that him and Tony built, yeah.
Yeah, and then he's like, look, I'll help you fix it, but you understand that I gotta go my way afterwards, and we and he's like, yeah, sure. All the best sort of thing,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you know what? Okay, as a first episode to set everything up, it's like, okay.
Yeah, pretty good.
Fair enough. Yeah. I also read, by the way, that they were going to try and leave the origins towards the end somewhere.
Yeah.
At the last episodes, and I'm like, what? But that, I think, is better in the first episode to explain everything. I know they probably wanted like a cliffhanger thing.
Yeah.
People keep on watching to find out how she originally came to the Hulk, but
chronologically,
really doesn't make sense.
No.
So it's probably better to put it at the beginning.
Yeah, so you can get it out of the way and you can carry up. You can concentrate on the story. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Silly.
So she comes back. Do your court case, like you're saying.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then does she win the court? Well, they're about to get like a verdict, something like that.
Yeah.
And then Titania breaks in.
Yes.
No, I don't actually never understood why she does this. I don't think they explain anyway. And then
she just does, right?
Yeah, she just does. I don't know why.
As far as we're concerned, right, from watching it,
yeah,
she just does.
And then her friend Nikki's like, "Dude, you need to Hulk up." She's like, "Oh, I guess so." So she turns into She-Hulk, and Titania tries to do like a Liu Kang fly kick.
Yeah.
And then she just gets punched in the face.
By the way, I'm pretty sure Titania had something to do with the case, but otherwise it is a bit random. But then again, even if it is random, it kind of suits the tone of whatever is happening in the rest of the series.
Yeah.
Sometimes stuff just happens and it is random.
And yeah, I'm trying to think why now. So yeah, then so She-Hulk punches her, and then returns back to normal and says, "Well, so that's the end of our case." And then
yeah, essentially, right?
yeah, and then everyone finds out she's basically She-Hulk.
Yeah.
That was good. That was the first episode. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it. It moved quickly. I know, like lots of things happened then, but it moved quite quickly.
Yeah, quite quickly.
But it was like let's just set up the origin story and move straight on.
Yeah,
which I liked.
And then I liked it too.
Yeah. So she's She-Hulk now.
Yeah.
Well, they're calling her She-Hulk, right? She's
Yeah.
been dubbed She-Hulk, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh well. She goes to the bar to celebrate the case, and everyone's just asking Jen to turn into She-Hulk. And she doesn't want to. But like, Nikki's like, come on, you're the She-Hulk, come on. And she's like, oh, all right, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Oh, bless her.
Yeah. And then you got this dude, Dennis.
What's his name, Dennis?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, hold on, okay. You talk about the guy who's been dumb, right?
I'm trying to remember.
Okay, like we were thinking about one of the over the top character people before.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is one of them. He's the guy who's like, the dunce. The guy's like, oh yeah, I'm the man, that sort of thing,
Oh, the one who part of our old law firm.
Yeah.
Yep, Dennis.
Yeah,
Yep,
exactly.
Yeah.
So he's like, he's trying to say to her, yo, you're using your She-Hulkness to draw attention to yourself.
Yeah.
And you're not serious about being a superhero. And then she's like, yeah. Oh well, first of all, she can do what she wants, right?
Yeah.
But then, so then her boss basically comes to her and says, we had to have that case dismissed, and that I have to fire you because you're She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Well, because of what, conflict of interest, something like that. I can't remember.
Something stupid, like that's it. It'll bring the wrong attention to their firm, and she's like, oh, okay, that makes no sense.
Yeah,
sure.
So she gets fired, and then rehired.
Yeah.
At an opposing firm.
Yeah, the one that she was in the court against in the last.
Yeah. Which I found funny, but I do like. It's just like, okay. So, I mean, it's comedy after all. It's like, of course, this stuff don't come out of left field. But she's like, oh yeah, we'll hire you. Do you mind turning into She-Hulk, by the way? Because we didn't hire you for Jennifer Walters. We hired you for She-Hulk, and you're going to spearhead our superhuman defense division.
Yeah.
Legal defense division, that is, right?
Yeah. And I was like,
and she's like, what?
Because
then she has to go on.
Like, I can it makes sense why they'll do that.
Yeah.
And I can see why she would get confused. Okay, they're hiring me because I'm Jen Walters and I'm a good lawyer. It's like, no, we want She-Hulk. Because we're going to do superhuman stuff. And it's good to have a superhuman as a figurehead. That makes sense.
Especially one that can physically beat you up if you're being like, Well, look, even if she can be physically intimidating to the people, Well, you're dealing with people with superpowers after all and stuff like that. So they might try to flex a bit, And you just flex a bit back and they'd be like, well, okay, fine. Yeah.
Can't flex against her.
Yeah, exactly. But it's funny because she's not dressed in... She's dressed in her clothing.
Yeah. Which doesn't fit her properly,
Yeah. So when she hulks up, she's like, she starts getting all like, stretched and tight and stuff like that. I will say this, right? How tall do you reckon Tatiana is?
She's about 5'2".
Yeah.
Yeah, she's short.
Yeah, because I was noticing, she's a tiny woman. No, but she's
short. She's short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when she hulks up, she's really tall, of course, right?
Yeah.
But it makes they cast people against her, I reckon, that are like a certain mid-range height.
Yeah.
So she looks small against them, and then when she She-Hulk, she looks tall against them.
Yeah, which I like that. I thought that's cool.
Yeah. And yeah, so they're like, all right, tell you what, She-Hulk, right? Can we've got a client for us to defend, right? By the name of Emil Blonsky. And she's like, I'm not sure about that because he tried to kill my cousin Bruce.
Yeah, actually, yeah, there's a whole thing there, you know.
And yeah, she's like, and they're like, well, if you don't take this, you're fired. So yeah,
they're like, oh, it's not conflict of interest if you sign this paperwork, blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
like, oh.
And I was like, first of all, oh, it's cool. They're bringing back the Abomination. Like, they bring back Emil Blonsky. I wonder how they're going to do it, right? Yeah. So when you see Tim Roth there, right, and he's Tim Roth size, which I got nothing against, right? But one I'm going to point out is he took the super soldier serum, so shouldn't he be buffed? But then again, he also put the Hulk blood in him, and I don't know if that nullifies whatever. You know how his where if you straight up had the super soldier serum, probably you get buffed up, right?
Yeah, but because he's like concocted it,
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, fair enough. Tim Roth's like coming up 60 or 60, like you know, how are you gonna buff up yourself? Like,
Plus, for this role, we kind of pointless him buffing himself up anyway, as well. When you think about it, like,
exactly.
Doesn't really do anything, does he?
Yeah, but I like how he plays it. It's like, oh well, yes. I was Emil Blonsky back when in the Incredible Hulk in 2008. That's not how he says it, right?
Yeah,
but
basically, what he's saying. Yeah.
But you see, like years later, right? And I think their timeline is 2025.
Yeah. Sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is like 18 years.
Oh snap! It is, isn't it? Yeah.
So of course he's cooled down and been like, you know what? I've had a spiritual awakening. I no longer turn into the Abomination. I help people. I've got my harem of ladies who need spiritual awakening. I know, making it sound like innuendo, right?
Yeah.
But it's not actually that. He's like, I'm a faith healer, or what's it called? A spirit guidance person.
Yeah, I think it was that. I want to say faith healer. Yeah.
I help from my imprisonment where I am. I help people come better. Understand themselves and stuff like that, you know, like a therapeutic thing. I'm like, all right, I wonder how this is going to turn out. Because he seems pretty genuine in how he's doing it, but you're always like, he's the Abomination.
Yeah, the name kind of doesn't help his situation, does it?
Plus, you see him in Shang-Chi, fighting Wong, right?
Yeah.
Even though that was like a specialist thing, it's just like, okay, so there's some sneakiness going on here because they have to explain that.
Yeah.
And when he said he hasn't turned, to Abomination, it's like, well, you just were Abomination.
Yeah, like, dude,
not too long ago.
Yeah.
So,
I'm pretty sure that's in the same year as this.
Yeah.
That was funny. Yeah.
And he's like, oh, because, see, I wasn't in control of myself. They put a super soldier serum in me,
Yeah.
Right. Not that he wanted it put in him. Anyways, they put it in me. Plus, they combined with the Hulk blood, even though he was the one that asked the guy to do it, right?
Yeah, but still, because he was, like he said, a dedicated soldier.
Yeah, I was under orders to do this, and when it all got concoction and stuff like that, it just hit me, and I just couldn't control it. I mean, your cousin hulked out, you can't. Things are beyond my control. I'm like, wow, he's a spinner. He just proper, wow.
But the thing is, though, he has what he's saying is true.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? That's the problem. None of it's false.
No,
but it's done in a way where it's like, well, I'm not responsible for it, even though you are.
Yeah, like he's lacking the accountability because he could have said no at the start from all this. So he is.
But the way he frames it is like he was trying to help contain the Hulk, and then things just escalated because they couldn't,
Yeah.
And then they offered him stuff to do, and then he's like, right, I will do this because we're trying to contain that threat.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, yeah. Nicely done. nicely acted.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much of this is the truth and how much of it you believe, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those things. But she's like, okay, we'll see what we can do here with what you said and how we're gonna.
Yeah. You can tell she wants to take the case because then after
Yeah.
she rings Bruce, isn't it? And he's like, well, she tries to explain, and he's like gonna say straight through at the start, like, yeah, you can do it. And she's like, but if you do this, and he's like, well, Jen. And he's like, no, but he's like, all right, Jen. I know you're calling me to tell me you are taking this case. And she's like, oh yeah, I am. He goes, and do it. Me and Abomination are cool now. You know, he wrote me a haiku and explained himself, and yeah, we're all good. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh, that's cool.
And what jokes is he breaks the fourth wall by saying, "Oh yeah, that was a lifetime ago. You know, I was a different person from now."
I was a different person then,
like,
literally. I was like,
yeah. All right, fair enough.
I thought that was funny. I like they finally
which, by the way,
referenced that. Yeah.
would you ever want to see the multiverse of Hulks?
Nah.
You don't want to see Eric Banner, Ed Norton, and Mark Ruffalo appear in one Hulk movie?
Because technically, ain't they all technically the same person?
Well, it's true. Alright, that's true.
Yeah,
so you'd only see. So what you're saying is, in the multiverse of Hulk films, we'd only see Mark Ruffalo and Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Because technically, 2003 Hulk is set in the same as Incredible Hulk.
Well, I don't think they officially say, but they don't say it isn't. But at the beginning of Incredible Hulk, they do the whole origin story in like a 5-minute recap, which is different from the 2003. But he ends in 2003 where he starts in 2008. So
yeah, so it's
I think they're like, parts of this happened, but not this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you can like try and reconcile it together if you want.
Yeah. It's not official, but it's technically
But you could see as as a fan, as fanon, right?
Yeah.
As fan canon.
Yeah.
You could wrangle that into that.
You could, yeah.
Yeah.
And no one could.
But then it's like also saying that Batman Returns and Batman Forever are meant to be a sequel to one another, with each other, right? When some parts of it is like, that's crazy because that can't follow on that.
Yeah.
Because of just the way it's filmed.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Even I do sort of class them as sequels, but yeah.
So do I because they've got the same similar characters, but people act differently.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got similar actors, but people just don't act the way they previously acted.
Yeah.
But, and the theme song is different. But anyways,
yeah.
Back onto this.
Yeah.
We get sidetracked there. And Robonsky's like, yeah, I tell you what. Oh yeah, no. So I think the news happens, right? And then like Abomination, Emo Blonsky, aka the Abomination, was seen doing cage fighting.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, all right.
There we go.
So they are gonna, straight away they are gonna tackle this thing, right? Okay, we'll see. Yeah.
And that's where the episode ends, right?
Sorry?
That's where the episode ends, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she goes to Blonsky and says, why don't you tell me about this? And he's like, well...
Didn't think anyone knew.
Well, it's like, yeah. First of all, it kind of ruined my chances of getting out of here. But secondly, he's like, what? He's like, secondly, well, as you can see, I am back here. I came back on my own volition. So it's not as if, I could have escaped, but I didn't.
Again, he makes a good point. That's what he goes, even they offered me a place in Commissar, and I was like, nah.
Yeah.
I'll stay
I
here.
tell you what. Speak to my boy Wong. He'll explain everything.
And they're like, who's Wong?
Yeah. So they try to find Wong, and they're like, okay, sure. Like you're saying, who's this one guy? What is he got to do? Whatever. Why is he finding Abomination? What's going on? But I think they get sidetracked by another. Oh no! Does Wong come into? Is this one where Wong comes into our office at the beginning?
No, that's the next one. That's the next one.
Okay.
The magic dude. That's the next one.
Oh yeah. So this is the one where it's the Megan Thee Stallion thing.
1 second. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So she gets brought onto another case while that's happening.
Yeah.
And Yeah, it's because it involves a shape-changing elf.
Yeah. Because at first she didn't want to take the case because like this is stupid. This guy got catfish, and they're like, oh well, the person who did it is a light elf from New Asgard, so technically she's a superhuman. So you got to do the case. Like,
and not only that, but when she steps in to see who the defendant, not her client is, it's her dude from the other organization he used to work for. Total douche, and they're like, yep, of course, this guy, of course.
Yeah, of course he would believe that he's talking to Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah, exactly. Why, yeah. He's a bit too up himself.
Big, yeah,
exactly. They're like, why do you think you could get her? And he's like, what do you mean? Why can't I?
Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
And the funny thing is when that guy Pug goes to him, so if this is Megan Thee Stallion, why would she want you to buy her a 30 grand or whatever how much it was for like, a Volkswagen Jetta? Wouldn't she want like a more expensive car? He's like, like, dude, you had this coming. Oh, idiot, man.
But he quite obviously did not want Jen to represent him.
Yeah.
But they're like, well, this is a superhuman case, and she's the superhuman. I don't want to say attorney.
Yeah.
She's gonna take your case because, well, basically, we're just starting this division. Who else gonna take your case? And he's like, okay, good point.
Yeah.
Wong then arrives in a portal in there.
Yeah.
So she's like, all right, Wong. The other people leave, and she's like to Wong, okay, so what's up with this thing that you're fighting Abomination in the cage somewhere that I'm seeing on newsreels?
Yeah.
Because this guy's saying one thing, the footage is saying another thing, and I can't exactly. I have to reconcile all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's because he won't get parole because of he's obviously not in his cage or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, why could they just wipe out everyone's memory? She's like, no. We that's not how we want to do things here.
Oh no, he brings it up because we could break, but I would wipe everyone's memory, but what happened last time was pretty bad in reference to Spider-Man Far From No Way Home. Yeah.
But yeah, he basically says everything that Abomination said, that Emil Blonsky said, is exactly what happened, as far as that section with him is concerned, right?
Yeah.
Not like all the stuff from when he got put the suit, like everything that happened in Incredible Hulk. It's just like, no, I took Emil Blonsky to fight in this cage, and after that, he went back to his cell without putting up any resistance.
Yeah.
So
we even offered him a place to stay, but he said no.
Yeah. He clearly wants to live out, do the rest of his sentence because he's a changed man, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, can you testify? And he's like, no, because things got to be done. The world, the mystic, the world of mystic arts doesn't stop for law, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's people to be fought here that are invading the world and stuff like that. So, gotta go.
And then she goes, "What was it? Oh, something he said funny." When she goes like, "You gotta swear by the book," and he went to Book of Ashanti. He's like, "No, the actual American law book."
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Wong's the best.
Yeah. So on the day of the so then they do the hearing.
Yeah.
In Emil Blonsky's cell.
Yeah.
Area.
Yeah.
Which is quite a high tech labby sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
And he's like Tim Roth, just being a bit,
relaxed and chilled. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh well, things happen, and you evolve as a character and all this stuff,
Yeah.
You kind of, I mean, doesn't mean I'm not sorry if things done wrong, but that's not the way I am now,
Yeah.
Well,
you
all
can
right,
ask
okay.
my 7 wives. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or 7
she's
girlfriends.
She's trying to state the case of what's going on and how this and that and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the court's like, I mean, the people, the judges, they're like, you know, I don't know. She's just trying to drag out time.
Yeah.
Because Wong says he's going to make an appearance.
And he doesn't.
And he'll break the case.
Yeah.
Essentially. And he just takes his time to appear. And then Blonsky's like, oh, you know what? I can prove that I have control over the abomination by turning into abomination.
Yeah.
Right? We can do that, right? Because if I show you have control over him, that I could break out of the cell anytime and stuff like that, but I choose not to, that'll strengthen my case, right? And Jen's like, no, don't. please don't. And he just changes the abomination anyways.
You're like, yeah, no, it's fine. Just watch. And then he turns to abomination.
And then you get people screaming and shouting.
And then they all like, the guards come with their guns and stuff. And then Jen's like, no, leave it. And then he turns back.
Yeah. It's quite funny because Blonsky's acting like Tim Roth, like he's acting, even in his abomination form, it's like, all right, people, all right, calm down, see him all under control here, all right.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. It's so funny because the mannerisms you just don't expect from the guy that big.
Yeah, that big.
And that's scary, you know, look at like the monstrosity. But then he just shrinks that back down to Tim Roth.
Yeah.
And he puts a little, cloak over himself because he has to cover up now because he's got no clothes on. And and then Wong finally makes his appearance. And he's like, yep, so this is what happened. This is what the abomination said. He's right. I took him out. We put him back. It's all cool and fine. Thumbs up, yeah? And they're like, right. And he goes, yep, so I got mystic stuff to do.
Yeah, and they're like,
they're like, well, you broke the law by breaking him out, right? So we've got to bring a case against you. And he goes, how are you going to find me? Later.
Yeah, basically, I've got things to do. Bye. Just leaves. Like,
yeah.
Oh, okay. Can't chase him.
I was like, all right, fine. And I think he said something like, do the laws of America apply in the world of the mystic arts?
Yeah. Like, I'm the Sorcerer Supreme. And he just leaves.
Yeah.
Like,
I got diplomatic immunity.
Basically, he does, though, really. So,
yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And they're like, well, I mean, but if we can't catch him and find him, then we can't prosecute him.
Yeah.
Okay.
True,
I mean, Yeah, so then Jen meets up with Nikki and
Pog.
Yeah, but what's I gonna call him? Adrian Chase, aka Prometheus.
Oh
right?
yeah. Well, that time I was like, I know this guy.
Yeah.
He was intense, but not the same way as he was with Agent Trace. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's like, wait a minute, right? I mean, they're talking about how their cases and stuff like that, and about how they're like, wait a minute, but the guy we used to work with, he's such a douche, yeah?
Yeah.
The guy who's her client case person that she's got her other case.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's such an egomaniac, right? That I'm sure he thought it was Megan Thee Stallion, but who would get caught up in such things, such stupidity? And they're like, wait a minute, we can use that against for us.
Yeah.
Only amount of, and then when they have the court case, like, basically he's an idiot, right?
Yeah.
He believes so much that he's so good looking and so amazing, so egotistical, that he could not fathom that it wouldn't be her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got us
and
there.
Then, yeah. And then I think, so the light elf who's there is like, what? How can this be? That makes no sense. And when she got prosecuted by the judge, then it switches back to Jen and Pug and Jen celebrating with the guy, not celebrating, but saying, yeah, you need to watch yourself, Dennis, because you were an idiot and we used it for us in this case, but you cannot continue like this because there's only so many times you can be a fool.
Yeah,
right?
so many times
Fool
you
me
get
once.
catfished. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you hear the judge saying, oh, you know what, light elf girl, lady, actually, we'll drop everything against you. We'll no prosecution whatsoever, no punishment, nothing, right? And then everyone's like, what? And then the judge tells that judge, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So the light elf turned into the judge, and then she's running around the table and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, okay. what is this comedy doing here?
Yeah, I liked it. That's good.
But that also strengthens the Jen's case as well, because like that light elf who was pretending that she didn't shapeshift or doesn't use it in such a way, she just uses it to her own advantage as well. So
yeah. She used it a couple of times in this, yeah.
So they go back to her other case, and Emil Blonsky has been granted parole.
Yeah.
They're gonna put the
inhibitor on him, and he's not allowed to turn into the abomination. And if he does, he'll break his curfew. I mean, his parole agreements and be sent back to prison. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So she won the case, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they interview for the news, but they interview her as She-Hulk.
Yeah.
All right. And they dub her the She-Hulk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on her way home,
yeah,
she is attacked by 4 guys, and was about to attack her, and she went. They want to grab her, and she goes, "Wait a minute, I'm a Hulk." So she hulks up.
yeah.
And then,
by the way, did you know these? Did you know these guys were the Wrecking Crew when you were watching it?
I did when she said, "Did you guys still Asgardian construction tools?" Like, yeah, sure we did. Like, of course we did. I was like, yeah, that's Wrecking Crew.
When I saw the Wrecker with his crowbar,
yeah,
I was like, yeah, these guys must be a bunch of jokers.
Yeah,
like you recognize some of the Wrecking Crew, because like Enchanted Crowbar, what?
Yeah, like, okay.
I mean, they weren't as super bulked up as obviously comic drawn Wrecking Crew,
yeah.
But they're just some guys who found the weapons.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, why would you not be? I guess you would be called the Wrecking Crew or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it only makes sense if you found construction weapons and you're like, yeah, we're going to destroy stuff. We are the Wrecking Crew.
Yeah.
Okay. 100% logic there. Yeah.
And then they try to fight her, and she's like, "You guys should not waste my time." She beats them all up, basically.
Yeah.
And they tried to still get a blood sample off of her, and the needle breaks on her impenetrable skin. Yeah.
Exactly. Which is kind of like, she proper treats them like jabronis, and they just run off.
I like that. I was like, that's good.
Yeah. And then she's like staring herself in the mirror, like in the car, on a car mirror.
Yeah.
Like,
And this is where she's kind of still like debating whether she actually likes being a Hulk or not. Yeah.
Yeah.
In her mental mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good.
So she's like, basically she's like,
I can get used to this sort of thing.
Yeah, ish kind of, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, I mean, she goes home and she speaks to her father and stuff like that, basically saying, well, if people know you as the Hulk, they're going to try and draw attention to, like, people will just, sometimes they'll fight you for no reason, right?
Yeah.
But you're Hulk, you can take them. You don't have to worry about it too much.
Yeah.
I do like these the family things. Like, it's like you don't see enough family things going on in the movies or the other series and stuff like that. But she's just like a normal family households and stuff like that. She just happens to be a Hulk.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, right? Bruce is a Hulk, and you never see him go to family dinners and stuff like that.
Until maybe later. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yeah.
But no, it's cool because her parents just treat her like she's their child, which she is. But just be like, I'm looking after my daughter, stuff like that. It's just like, very ordinary.
Very ordinary, and especially like when they have it with like the uncle and his kid and stuff like that, and they're always trying to outdo it. The parents always like. The older parents always trying to like outdo each other by saying what their kids can do and stuff like that, which I thought was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Like her cousin Ched, the incredible Ched.
Yeah. So I will say that Jen's dating life is not the greatest at the moment.
Yeah, for obvious reasons.
Sorry.
For obvious reasons, yeah.
Yeah. Because supposedly looking at Jen, is not it won't draw people, but it's the same thing. By the way, it's the way like, okay, so you get a dude, you slap glasses on him, and all of a sudden he's a nerd, right?
Yeah.
She's downplayed, but I'm like,
I think she's pretty good looking.
Well, I was gonna say the way they play it down is like the level really far down of levels.
Yeah.
I know, get it for the story, but it just be like you can't.
Yeah.
It's really odd.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's like she's.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But because if she was at the levels that she supposedly is in this, right?
Yeah.
Then she would not be cast as the lead in this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's an oddity in itself, right?
Like she's no like Scarlett Johansson sort of woman, like oozes with sexuality and that stuff like that. But she's
got a different appeal as well.
Yeah.
But it's just like, wow, I don't. Okay, not Hollywood.
Actually,
go on.
Actually, this gonna sound really weird. I can see if this was set anywhere else in America, I would say she's super attractive. But because she's in like LA, and it's like this is gonna sound really bad, full of like super like
Okay, we'll put it this way, and this kind of follows on what you're saying. But she's in a TV world, right?
Yeah,
where ugly people don't exist. Yeah. Unless there's a reason for them to.
Yeah.
So, as far as I don't want to say, as far as they're concerned in movie land, right?
Yeah.
She might be average, but in real world, she's way above that. But you're like, someone's got to be not so good looking.
Yeah.
Somehow.
It's like, and I was saying like the LA standard of like beauty is a lot weird compared to like everywhere else. Yeah. So,
but these are the same things that we'd be like, okay, so there's Clark Kent and there's Superman. All of a sudden, even though they both look
exactly
the features, like feature wise, they're the same, except that one guy's amazing looking, and the other guy is like not so. It's like, okay, all right,
yeah.
Anyways, so she makes a dating profile as Jen. Doesn't get many matches.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't get any. Right now,
she gets a few, but like they're douches. Yeah.
Is this before or after the thing where Wong makes his appearance again?
This is before.
Oh no, that's up. Yeah, so she makes her profile as Jen.
Yeah.
Nothing much is happening, right?
Yeah.
Then she's got to throw. Then there's this dude called Donny Blaze.
Yeah.
Who is a reject from the Carmitage?
Yes, it is.
So he stole some sling rings, right?
Yeah.
And he's using it to make magic tricks and teleporting people elsewhere and stuff like that.
Yeah.
As part of his magic, because he's doing normal card magic, and when he needs his ace in the hole, he brings out like I can open portals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Wong then pops in and says, "No." So okay. So he teleports some lady over somewhere, right?
Yeah, he teleports some lady to like a hell dimension.
Yeah.
And then she gets out.
Yeah.
In the Sanctum Sanctorum, wherever it is.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know where I am, it's like she's a proper ditz, but actually I have to say, this lady was magnificent.
Yeah, she's the best.
She comes off of drunk and stupid, right?
Yeah,
and
even though she's not drunk. That's what's
it's like, but that lady, that actress is amazing to act that way.
Yeah.
Like you're thinking, this woman's the actress is like embracing exactly the stupidity of her character, like Dumb Valley Girl. But because she's like, oh yeah, how I got out of here. By the way, I made a deal with another demon to do this and that and the other.
Demon called Dave. Yeah.
yeah.
He was a goat.
It's like what? I didn't even know how you survived somehow.
Yeah.
Wherever you got cast to, but you're amazing. You're amazing. You're next level. So yeah, and Wong's like, okay, teleport over to Jennifer. You got to stop this dude Donny Blaze from using our stuff because look what he's doing.
Yeah.
She ruined The Sopranos for me. She ruined the ending of The Sopranos for me.
Yeah.
I think that's what wound him up the most, right?
Most. He's like, wow, she's ruined this for me. I hate
her. So while she's doing that, she's like, all right, fair enough. We'll do a cease and desist, and then see the guy in court, right? So they do that. Oh no! Between all that, is she goes on a date with some guy from online dating profile as Jen,
Yeah.
and
She's
the
the
dude's like,
worst.
gotta go, gotta go. Yeah, and then she ends up paying the bill.
Yeah, and then
Like
on the
she
way
just
out,
left. Yeah,
and then on the way out, he goes, "Oh, she's like a New York Six, something like that." Like, kind of trying to say that she's dull
yeah,
and not looking like, wow, that's not very
yeah,
nice.
yeah. But like a proper douche.
Yeah,
So yeah, so that's that. And then she goes to do her court case with Wong and Donny Blaze,
yeah,
and they basically pull Madison
yeah.
in.
Wangers.
Yeah, exactly. Now they're besties.
Oh, yeah, she's the best.
Well, no, she's besties to him, and he's like, oh,
But he comes to he loves her in the end. Yeah,
yeah. He's like, oh, yeah. She's like falling on his lap and like, oh yeah, Wong, yeah, we can watch the walls, and then basically telling how Donny Blaze sent her from there to there, and how she like whatever, like, she could have died, but she done some other stuff to make sure she's like,
yeah,
like, oh yeah, and I think so. They kind of say, right, well, magic can't. Donny Blaze's lawyer says magic can't be copyrighted because we can do all sorts, right?
yeah.
And then they start pulling like rabbits out of hats and stuff like that, do like the parlor tricks in front
Yeah,
of
the most cheapest, lamest magic as well. Yeah,
I think one of like the lawyer passed Donny Blaze something from behind as well.
yeah. And you find out he's a magician as well. You're like, oh wow, this is terrible.
Yeah, and right, but she's like, okay, but She-Hulk's like, yeah, so fine, he can't, but he can do his illusions, right? But real magic, that's another thing altogether because these are people that practice the Kamikaze. He's the Sorcerer Supreme. He got the thing from the Sorcerer Supreme, so technically that's their property and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So he's like, just like hold up Donny Blaze when just not gonna. You can't practice or you can't do your magic tricks until we finish this case. All right,
Yeah.
That's how we're gonna roll at the moment.
yeah. And the judge is like, well, we can't really say he can't stop it because it's his income flow. So
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
gets angry.
Yeah.
A good show.
So then she goes home. She's like, all right, well, since I got no matches as Jen, I'm gonna try She-Hulk and see what's up, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, she gets they
All
do
the
like
matches. Yeah.
yeah. She goes through a couple of speed dating runs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's a dude who's all arrogant, like, oh yeah, trying to talk about himself. Or yeah, he's going to date She-Hulk, like online match She-Hulk, and then he's talking about himself.
Yeah.
Right. Another guy being rude and arrogant, and then another guy who's just obsessed with her as She-Hulk.
Yeah, which is super creepy as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And
He
then
called
she
her a
meets
specimen.
she meets. Oh, one of them's David Otunga, right?
Yeah, the rude guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And then she meets some other dudes, and it's like, oh yeah, they get on well.
Yeah.
For her being She-Hulk and him
Being
polite.
Yeah, he
That's
was
the best way
asking
to
about
put it.
her, and I think he was some sort of doctor as well,
Yeah.
or surgeon and some crap like that. Yeah,
Yeah. So they
he hit it off for a while.
yeah, exactly. They go back to She-Hulk's place, and yeah.
Yeah, they're about to get it on, and then Wong. Oh, while that's all happening, Donny Blaze is doing another show, and he tries to do the same sling blade trick again, and they're like, "You did this to my friend last week, and she ended up in blah blah blah."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay, sure, then I'll open a portal somewhere else." And he does it, and it's in some realm with, I want to say, goblins.
Flying goblin things. I don't know exactly what it is, right?
Yeah. So he opens a portal to that.
Yeah.
And then they basically take over where the performance is.
Yeah.
So How does Wong find out again?
I mean, I think, well, here's as far as I remember, what happens is Wong just opens up a portal.
Yeah.
Because they're all behind him, and he's like, "Jen, you got to come here right now. We got to sort this out."
Yeah,
so he's just
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But fine, right? I guess if you're, the logic is he just knew, right?
Yeah. 'Cause I can't remember
just knew, but
I can't remember
he intercepted some point.
Because I can't remember if Donnie actually opened one to Wong and said, "Yeah, dude, I need your help," or Wong just knew, wanted to.
Yeah, I just say for comedic purposes, right?
Yeah.
You just want to cut where She-Hulk's on her date.
Yeah.
To ask her to come and help, but I don't think. Logic. Go on.
He gets there first, like you said. How I can't remember how. Then he keeps trying to ring her, and she doesn't answer. And that's where he comes, opens the finger. Don't you answer your phone? He's like, "Wait, what?" And then
So She-Hulk form. She helps Wong bust up all these flying
goblin thingy-majings. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're actually doing a pretty good job. Considering he's opening portals and she's just throwing them in there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then she's just basically making a mockery of them as well. They're swarming her, but she don't really. Yeah. They're not doing any damage to her whatsoever.
They can't hurt her. Yeah.
Yeah. One's doing a little dodging and diving and stuff like that because they can hurt him.
Yeah. Because he's a human.
But his main thing is just make those portals and she can throw them in.
Yeah. And then
they
basically got most of them, and then She-Hulk holds on to one and goes over to Donnie Blaze and is like, "Well, you can either sign the whatever it is, this legal document saying that you won't perform any magic relating to the mystic arts, whatever it is, or I'll leave this thing here and it will eat you." And then like, "Well, no," and then the thing starts barking. He's like, "Okay, sure," and he signs it, and that's how that case is over. Which is
because then she jumps back right on into her on her sofa on top of the other guy, and it's like, "Oh, let's pick up where we left off." And then she literally picks him up,
and carries him in to her bedroom,
and then. Yeah, and then we go to the next day, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, she comes out. They go to the next day. She's back at Jen Walters. He's like,
she's cooking him breakfast, like all happy that that a guy likes her for her.
Yeah.
And then he comes out and goes, "Who are you?" She's like, "I'm Jen. Just not in She-Hulk form." He's like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna go." She's like, "Oh wow, that's
yeah. I got this thing. I gotta, I mean,
I was like, "Oh,
I got the children that I'm the doctor for that I've got to save." Yeah.
This guy's such a dick. Yeah. So then she feels sad.
Yeah.
And then she gets a knock on the door.
Yeah.
And it's some guy pretending to be someone else. She's like, "Dude, I know what a server looks like."
Yeah.
She goes, "Okay, here we go. You're getting sued for using the name She-Hulk." She's like, "Wait, what the F? I'm She-Hulk."
Yeah.
And then you learn that Titana has registered copyrighted the name She-Hulk.
Yeah.
It's like,
basically they go to, like, Nikki and Jen go to visit Titania and go, "So what's up with that?" Because they try to solve it outside the call. I think they're just trying to find out what's going on, stuff like that. It's like, where'd you get this idea that you can use the She-Hulk when I am She-Hulk?
Yeah.
As your, how can you use that for your branding? And she's like, "Well, you never trademarked it. You just called yourself it, and you didn't even want to be called it, so I trademarked it. And now,
which is super petty when you think about it. Like, wow, this is super petty."
Exactly. So you cannot use the name She-Hulk anymore. Otherwise, I will have to sue you.
Yeah. Like, oh wow.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So then she's like, "Well, okay, now I'm gonna prove that I am okay to use the name She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Because I am She-Hulk."
Yeah.
So she. Sorry.
No, because she is. Yeah. So it's like, that's a weird one.
So she goes to another lawyer in the firm because she can't deal. They're like, "Well, you can't deal with your own case because that'd be a bit weird, right?"
Yeah.
So we've got
it'll make our law firm look bad because like whoever normally people who represent themselves doesn't really go well. So,
yeah, even if they are lawyers themselves, right?
Yeah. It's like that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they're like she go to another female lawyer, and that female lawyer says basically, yeah, they're just Titania's just blatantly doing it out of spite.
Yeah.
But we can't, we have to have the paperwork in order and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, things got to be done officially. You can't just point fingers on whatnot, even if we've got to go through the motions, is what is got to happen, right?
Yeah. And why this is going on as well, she meets one of the weird dudes that she went on a date with because he's one of the clients of the woman that is representing Jen.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I remember this loser. Ugh. And so that's a little foreshadowing for later.
Yeah. So the court case is basically they're saying, look, Titania's lawyers are saying, look, she don't even want to be called She-Hulk. She hates being called She-Hulk. She only wanted to use it now that I've started the brand of She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Right? And now she's just trying to take the money, like she's trying to associate with her.
Yeah.
Even though it's blatantly the other way around, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But the way that you're like, they're playing it is like, well, She-Hulk's trademark at this point, right?
Yeah.
And she had never used the name She-Hulk. Therefore, if she wants to be She-Hulk, she can't, basically.
Yeah.
I have the rights to the name.
Right.
And then, it's just so obnoxiously petty.
Yeah. And then also, while all this is going on, Nikki and Pug, Mallory Book, the one who's representing Jen and works with her, she tells Jen you need to get like better fitting suits if you want to sort of be taken seriously and win his case. Yeah. So while that's all going on, Pug and Nikki are looking for a guy who does costumes and suits and stuff for superheroes, because Pug's in like the underground sort of fashion stuff, so he has a guy who does fashions, and then the guy told him about this guy, and they go to this boba tea place, and because Pug's guy told him this where they need to go, and he's like, oh, so we've been told by my guy that you do clothes or something like that, and he goes, nah, dude, we do boba tea here. And then Nikki says something in Chinese, and the guy goes, nah, dude, I'm Filipino. And she's like, why did I think that? Oh. And then she feels really bad about it. And then the guy walks to the back, and they're like, oh no, now they think I'm racist. Then he comes back on the other side and goes, come in this way. Yeah. Like, okay, sure, we'll come in. And then he goes, all right, so what do you need? And they're like, oh, this is the guy. He opens the drawer, and it's like, what was it? Wow. Avengers, and he's like, "Oh wow, you're just selling rip-off Avengers guys."
And Avengers with an A as well.
And then he's like, "Okay, cool. You got to buy something, and I'll tell you where this guy is." So they buy some stuff, and then
they buy like cap and sweaters and stuff, Avenger branded.
Yeah, and it's funny. So then they get they actually go and meet the guy who makes the suits, and then he's hilarious. Yeah.
And they ask for like a specialized suit for She-Hulk.
Yeah.
The She-Hulk, the Avenger She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Which they kind of...
That's funny. He goes, well, she's Avenger. Goes, well, they haven't made it official yet. She's not. Yeah, I was like, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. They went back to for the court case.
Yep.
I think she's. Oh, wait. No. So they bump into did you say they bump into the guy? One of the guys she dated earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, but did she bump into him later again, or? So I think she bumps into someone else she did date on her thingamajig, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, as she did date a She-Hulk, and then she realized, hold on a second.
I used it for that. Yeah.
I used it on my dating profile, calling myself She-Hulk. So, and that was officially before the trademarks where she got served.
Yeah, that's right.
The day before, right?
Yeah.
Because if she went on the dates, literally the day before.
Yeah.
So then they're like, "All right, we can use this as she embraced the name of She-Hulk and to be She-Hulk."
Yeah.
Therefore, there's no ground for Titania to stand on.
Yeah. And then they're like, "Ha, you lose, Titania." She's like,
Wait. No, first they had to bring all the people that she went on a date as She-Hulk with.
Yeah, which is kind of embarrassing. Like, oh, this is...
It's super cringe because they flipped the script on her. I don't know if they just decided to be like obnoxious or that's what they genuinely believe, but they're like, "Oh yeah, we went on a date. All she talked about was herself as She-Hulk," and
and you're like,
you know.
No, it wasn't like that. It was the other way around.
Yeah.
Sure.
And Jen as She-Hulk's like trying to cover her face in embarrassment. She's like, "What have I brought myself into?" But at the same time, it's gonna help me not get sued. So
yeah. And then the last guy, the guy that she had relations with, is like, they asked a question like, "So if she was Jen Waters, would you even look at her?" And he's like, "No." You're like, oh, that's...
Yeah, exactly. Case dismissed. Case dismissed. Right.
Yeah. Like, no, that's
like basically just saying, fair enough. You were She-Hulk before Titania trademarked it.
Yeah,
and you obviously are She-Hulk, right?
Yeah,
but you know, it just strengthens your case a bit more because you actually did use it, even though you didn't want to. Blah blah blah. So that's not a void. You win the case.
Yeah.
And Titania's like, this ain't over between us because we're petty people, right?
Yeah,
They're just
basically.
gonna keep on. They're just gonna, yeah. So that's that, right?
Yeah. Well, kind of, because after her and Mallory Books go to the bar and have a drink, and then kind of like become friends after that.
Yeah.
And then they talk about her suit, and then we see Jen gets she goes to try on some new suits, if I remember correctly, in this episode, and then the tailor guy, I think his name's Lucasson or something like whatever. He gives her a suit, and it's a super suit, but you don't see it. She's like, "Oh, I like this." And you're like, "Oh, okay."
And at the very beginning, he's like, he walks back over to like a chair or whatever. He's like, "Oh my god, who left this thing out of here?" Right? Why don't you put these things away? And you see a gold horned helmet.
Yeah.
Not Loki's horn, but basically Daredevil's helmet from the Netflix show, except like dark yellow coloured.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, maybe he's gonna make a. I mean, now, did you see the trailer? The She-Hulk trailer?
Accidentally, I didn't want to.
And they showed basically Daredevil in it. And I'm like, you shouldn't have done that.
No.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it'd be cool to have it as a surprise, but at the same time, I know you got to advertise the guy in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you want to say he's in it, fair enough. Yeah. But it would have probably just been better if they didn't show him like that, and just be like, oh, Matt Murder will be making an appearance at some point, right? Then you don't know if it's Daredevil or not, or you know, people aren't just watching the show to see that because they're like, I know I was watching the show to see how Daredevil will make his appearance, right? But I was also watching the show for She-Hulk as well, so it's not like, oh yeah, at some point he's gonna make his appearance, but you know, week to week. That's why I was watching week to week. It's like, this is going to be in this one, this is going to be in that one. But I was like, they shouldn't have done that in the trailer. They should have just said Matt Murdock's making appearance at some point because it's an attorney show, you know?
Yeah. And it would have felt fine anyway. You know? Oh, okay. It wouldn't have felt like random. It'd be like,
and they didn't need to say Daredevil's going to be in it.
No.
Because that's what it showed in the trailer. Matt Murdock's in it. It makes logical sense, you know, and you don't set expectations too high. She'd be like, yeah, maybe he's just in it to be an opposing lawyer or whatever at some point. Yeah. Makes sense. Okay, so the Jen gets invited to a wedding.
Yeah, this episode is amazing. Yeah.
And she comes in as She-Hulk because she's in her new dress, right? And then the bride is like, Jen, can you de-Hulk because I didn't invite you here to show me up. Like, what? Yeah, that was kind of like, oof.
Yeah.
And then basically, so she turns back to normal, and her dress is too big for her. Like, it basically drags on the floor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. well, what do you expect, right?
Yeah,
But and then this who the how did she know this person, by the way?
they went
It's
to
Nikki's
college.
friend. Yeah. Yeah.
I think we went to college together, innit? So, I don't know.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's just like, and then she's kind of mocking Jen, and you're like, so you're so insecure when She-Hulk shows up, right? And then when you ask her to turn back because you can't, you have to be the attention seeker that you are. You're making fun of her. And it's like,
yeah, that
what?
makes no sense. You're stupid.
Yeah. I can see why she decided to come in She-Hulk form at the beginning, and you're just lucky she ain't gonna Hulk up right away just to
Yeah, you're lucky she's a nice person. You know what I mean? Like, she could have just not bothered.
Yeah, exactly.
And been She-Hulk the whole time and, like, you know, ruined your so-called wedding.
Yeah, exactly. This wedding's wacky. Yeah. So she kind of sits outside, kind of dejected. Oh no, Titania's there.
Yeah, Titania's there. She's like, yeah, I'm with that guy, and it's one of the people I think apparently Jen dated.
Yeah. And then Jen's like, all right, well, I'm just gonna go and get drunk because this surely can't get any worse than it is right now, right?
Yeah.
Could be like pretend to be okay with Titania here and not Hulk out at any point and whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
And then she's trying to be normal and stuff like that. And then she meets this one guy who's very nice to her, and he's doesn't want to see She-Hulk and all that stuff. So they sort of bond. And Jen's like, you know what? I like being Jen. You know, Jen's cool. But why this is all going on as well, back at GLKH, the law firm she works for, they're dealing with a case with a superhuman called Mr. Immortal.
Yeah.
Who is a mutant. Just throwing it out
Have you ever read Great Lakes Avengers?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say he's one of the guys from there. That's all.
Yeah. And basically he's getting sued by all of his ex-wives for faking his deaths.
Yeah.
And it's quite funny because you learn that he doesn't like conflict, so instead of just saying I want a divorce or talk about their problems, he just kills himself.
Yeah, he jumps out window and stuff like that, right? He's got himself run over a couple of times.
Yeah, and it's just funny hearing the people's stories. Like, I literally saw him get hit by a car, walk off, and then run away, get up and then run away, thinking I didn't see him. I was like,
yeah.
Oh, this guy's the worst. Oh.
Yeah.
It's the best. Yeah. It's the best. Yeah, so that's the side story in this episode.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
So yeah, so then on the day of the wedding. By the way, so what did you think when the lady's like, okay, so the whole setup is like, yeah, this girl's getting married, right?
Yeah.
And when you saw, because you never saw the groom, right?
No.
And when you finally saw the groom, what did you think?
I was like, oh.
What's going on, right?
Yeah. I was like, oh. Okay.
Yeah. She's getting married to Jonathan.
Yeah.
Which is her pet. And you're like, what?
Like...
But then again, in the world that we live in, some people married ghosts.
Yeah, and bridges, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It is what it is.
Yeah. A partnership for life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. And Jen's talking to that guy, Josh.
Yeah, there we go.
The guy who befriended her on the bench.
Yeah.
And saying, oh, it's glad that you like me, but I think everyone likes She-Hulk so much more, blah 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 blah. I think she starts getting herself a little bit drunk and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Goes outside to throw up. Titania then is like, well, I'm here to fight. And Jen's like, nah, I'm not here to fight nobody because I'm just gonna wallow in my own self-pity right now.
Yeah.
And then Titania just punches her.
Yeah. And
I'm like, wait a minute. Jen took a punch from Titania, probably take her head off.
Yep.
anyways, yeah. And
Actually,
she's
wait.
like, all right, well,
Did it even explain what Titanium's powers is in this? Are in
I
this,
don't know,
really?
but she must be strong somewhat, right?
Yeah, because she punches through walls and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I gotta say as well, the logic in the real world, right?
Yeah.
You punch someone in the head so hard they go flying, right? That probably detach their neck from their spine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah. But anyways, in the world of comic, because it's not necessarily it's how far she went back. She went flying, you know.
Yeah.
If they only picked her up and threw her, that's one thing, right? But basically just uppercutted her, and it's like, wow, she's dead. But she's not.
Yeah. I don't know.
And then Jen's like, all right, F this. I'm just going to turn into She-Hulk. I don't care about this crappy wedding anyways.
Yeah.
I have a little... Titania tries to tussle with She-Hulk again. I'm like, woman, didn't you learn your lesson the first time round? She's going to make you look like a fool again.
Yeah.
Which she does, right? Titania gets punched in the face. Like, I mean, they have they're knocking over everything on a wedding and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And Titania then slips and falls on her face and cracks her teeth.
Yeah, it breaks her veneers. Yeah, she's like, "Oh no, my veneers!"
Yeah, and then she runs off.
Yeah,
yeah. She runs off all humiliated, like, I will get my revenge on you, She-Hulk. She shakes her fist in the sky, that sort of thing, right?
I was like, oh, bless her.
Yeah, and then Jen gets berated by Lulu.
Yeah.
No, hon.
No, she thinks she is, and then Lulu's like, "You're so effing." No, effing. She goes, "You're so amazing. I got a Hulk at my wedding," and then
exactly,
okay, sure.
exactly. The way he looked at her face was like she was gonna shout at her, but then she realized, you know what? I can't make myself look like an idiot in front of everyone. So let's spin it another way.
Yeah.
Like, all right, yeah.
Cool.
So and so that's all done and dusted. Jen goes home as Jen with Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go on a good couple of dates.
Everything seems fine. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they have relations.
Yeah. Yes.
And then she messages him after that because he's gone in the morning, and she's trying to message him all day. She messaged him a good couple of times.
Yeah, he goes.
She doesn't hear anything back. She's looking at her phone. They're like, GK. The firm is like, Jen, you got to come in because there's stuff for you to do.
Yeah.
Right now.
And then this is when we find out about the intelligentsia who have like a website and stuff, just bagging on the She-Hulk because they're all weirdos.
Yeah. They hate I'm gonna say the He-Man woman haters, right?
Yeah.
Well, like not for no specific reason, but they just seem to have a problem with She-Hulk specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You kind of get into in the last episode. Even then, you're like, you dudes are losers. But
Yeah. But she's got to come in to the law firm because Emil Blonsky's inhibitor has malfunctioned, and they're like, right, so you're Hulk, and we need you to assist us going down there because we ain't find the abomination.
Yeah.
If indeed he is going to abominate, right?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, okay, right.
Like,
so
sure.
she goes, she goes down there. She transforms to She-Hulk to go into Blonsky's place. You get a flying boar and a matador come smashing into her car.
Yeah.
And she's like, what? What is this? Turns out Blonsky's holding a retreat, kind of, for lower tiered superpowered people or some sort, like villains.
Yeah.
People. I think they just like putting Z-listers at this point, right?
Yeah.
And one of note side characters for this, right? Because you're not going to see. They're not going to. It's like if in Batman you had the Condiment King and stuff like that. I'm gonna mind if you used like Kite Man and Condiment King as side characters in your story. Not to make a mockery of them, but just be like, we they're jokes but they're tongue-in-cheek jokes, and they are played in a way that it's not the joke is not on them.
Yeah.
Because we're laughing with them at their own silliness. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Milbonsky's like, oh yeah, so the Matador, right? And one of them the Matador, one's the Bullman. So if you put them together, right? Suppose we're trying to work out issues here. She's like, you guys bashed my car.
Yeah, like dudes, come on, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they're like, well, look, I'll tell you what, we'll get your car fixed, and then you can, and then, and then you can leave later in the day, right? And they're like, all right. And then she's like, Blonsky's like, well, come. Why don't you come to do the what's it called session?
One of her crap. It's one of them talking sessions. I forgot the actual name of it.
Yeah, he calls it a Bombermaster.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because then we can figure out, what like I see something's bothering you, always looking at your phone and stuff like that. Maybe you got issues here. These guys, they're solving their issues. You can come and join us. Like she's like, no, I don't want to join your.
I'm not going to share. I'm not going to share
your group sessions, your talk group and whatever. None of that, please.
Yeah.
None of your retreat. I'll just go on my phone and try to wait for this guy to message me. And they're like, all right, fine, whatever. And so but then she accidentally walks into, because she's trying to find signal, and she's walking around I wouldn't say the complex, but like where Oblonsky is on house arrest, which is like a cabin in the woods center thing.
Yeah. The smoke lodge, or is
Yeah. And then she just steps into the session. Because it just happens to... She's following where she's trying to get the best signal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she walks into the session, and they're like, oh, yeah, Jen, come join us. And she's like, no, I don't really want to. But they're like, look, yeah, clearly there's something up, right? Is it a guy? Because we assume that's what the situation is. Why else would you be so attached to your phone? Is it a wet thing, or is it a guy, or stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, look. And then she gets dragged into it, right? And then she starts explaining her issues, right? Because everyone's sharing, yeah?
Yeah.
She's like, fine. Yeah, no, I messaged this guy. We were getting along and stuff like that. And he hasn't messaged me back since. And they're like, yeah, well, if he's ghosted you, that's him. He's the dickhead, right?
Yeah. Dude like that.
Exactly. You need to think better of yourself, because that guy doesn't deserve you anyways. Who if he was interested in you, he would try harder and stuff like that. So you're just putting yourself in a box here. You're projecting. You should be happy for who you are, and that you're not. You're messaging him. He's not messaging you. So you're not the one who's got the problem.
Yeah, and they're like, Jen, you should get to know Jen, because we think Jen's pretty cool, and so should you.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's so nice of them.
Yeah, you gotta get past all your insecurities.
Yeah.
Well, it's easier said than done, by the way, right?
Of course. Yeah.
But you gotta get some self-esteem, some confidence going there. Otherwise, all that rejection is just going to cause you to go downwards and spiral, and then look at us, we were rejects and whatnot, right? Look at we got a man bull and some and then she spots so how she first got so she comes in there, she sees one of the wrecking crew guys that try to attack her. And that's when she goes to fight him, and they're like, no, dude, I've repented for myself.
Yeah.
I didn't. The stuff I did when I had the crowbar and stuff like that. I know. I realized I was just trying to. What did he say exactly?
Trying to fit it. I can't remember. Oh crap.
Yeah. Well, he was like, oh yeah, I was just trying to be one of them, and that's when I realized it's not.
Yeah, it's not for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need to be like them. I need to be a better version of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which then sets her off on this journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, by the time she's got the tow truck coming back. She's like, "Oh, hugs and kisses, people. You helped me a lot. You helped me with, what I needed to settle myself."
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think at the end of this episode, it flashes back to the guy she hooked up with cloning her phone.
Yeah. Cloning her phone and taking a bit of her blood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's...
So that's why he goes to her.
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh, that's a bit of a douchey move.
Yeah, that's shady right there. Yeah.
He deserves what happens to him.
Then next episode, she meets Eugene Palitio, the frogman, Leapfrog. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, Leapfrog, the worst. Yeah,
Which, by the way, I do. No, sorry, no. Hold on, let me just double check something. You continue. I'm going to double check something before I say.
All right. So yeah, basically, she meets him, and he is suing Luke Jacobson, the guy who made her suit and stuff, because apparently he gave Leapfrog a faulty costume, and you're like, okay. So they go to court, like, yeah, nothing's gone. Like, basically, they're straight away like, well, we're gonna win because he gave you a faulty suit. Jen goes to see him. Or was that a bit later? Right.
Goes to see
the guy who makes the suit, Jacobson. I can't remember if that's later on, isn't it? And then they have a little argument, and he's like, well, you're not my client no more. And he's making a dress for her because she's been nominated for a award.
Yeah.
And he's making a dress for her, and they have a little argument. Goes, well, you're not my client anymore, and rips up the dress. And then She-Hulk's like, fine, then I'm gonna win, and you're gonna.
I think that is.
Might be a bit later, isn't it?
Oh no! It probably isn't. It probably isn't.
No.
Because his case ends pretty quickly. But let me just tag on what I was going to say before, which I just had to look at. Yeah. So he was Leapfrog, Eugene, right? But in the comics, when I was reading it way back in the 90s, he was the Fabulous Frogman.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it because I was like, oh, this is an existing character, right?
Yeah.
Because he was in Spectacular Spider-Man. But I was like, I don't think he's called Leapfrog. I think it's the Fabulous Frogman. Let me just double check that.
Yeah, because I knew him as Frogman as well. So in the Leapfrog, I kind of like gathered I might get the name wrong. So I was like, okay, makes sense.
Yeah, I was like, all right. I mean, he's kind of a joke character in itself. So when they're using it like this, I was like, okay, fair enough. They just MCU tweaked the character for what they need, which because they didn't need the Fabulous Frogman or anything like that.
No. Bit weird.
I would have liked it probably if they tweaked him where he was kind of not necessarily tweener, but you could come back from this to become the Fabulous Frogman. But that it's such a minor character, it doesn't matter.
Well, is the Fabulous Frogman a good guy?
He was wanted to be Spider-Man's sidekick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Way back.
That makes sense then.
Yeah.
So then they go to court and they think that Leapfrog's gonna represent himself, and they're like, this is an easy case. And then
No. They think that Luke Jacobson is going to represent himself.
Yes,
she's representing. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Luke Jacobson. Sorry, yeah. Luke Jacobson. Like, we're definitely going to win then because he doesn't know nothing about law. And then we see someone open the door to the courtroom, and we see a guy with a sight stick. I think that's what they call it, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, hey.
No, I don't think they're called that. I can't remember what's called that.
I can't remember what it's called. You're like, this guy looks strangely familiar.
Yep.
And it's Matt Murdock, and he's representing Luke Jacobson. Oh. And then She-Hulk's like, oh, we may be in for some trouble because I hear this guy's good. Yeah,
because she didn't even bother her research or anything like that. She's like, we're a slam dunk, we're done. He's done.
Yeah.
And then when Matt Murdock just breaks her everything she says with actual researched logic.
Yep.
Which she neglected to do.
Yeah. And then carry on.
No, I was going to say because I was going to jump right to the end there and basically say So so usually Leapfrog's trying to say, oh, the equipment is faulty because it set me on fire because the fuel I used was this fuel, and they're like, Matt's sniffing it and he's like, are you sure you did not use other fuel, like another one? And he's like, no, wait a minute, yeah, I did. And then they're like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Luke Jacobs, I specifically told you not to use that particular one. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. And then the lawyer, the Matt Murdock say that they are honor, that's the case. And then the judge are like, yeah, that's true. This guy's an idiot. Yeah. And then Murdoch wins, and She-Hulk's kind of pissed.
Yeah.
And then we see the She-Hulk in a bar.
Yeah. Well, Jen, you see Jen in the bar, right?
Yeah, Jen in the bar.
Yeah.
And
Matt kind of like buys her a drink, slides up to her, and like, yeah, I know how the case went, but you know how these things are. We're all lawyers at the end of the day with a specific case. I didn't mean to, make you look incompetent or anything that you think is the other way. I'm like, oh, Matt, you're trying to be smooth here.
Yeah.
Which he is, right? He's putting off. They're having little laughs, and little flirtations and stuff like that. And he's like, I think she's like, yeah, and she's like looking like, oh, they're gonna get on, they're gonna get along and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And then Matt has to take a call, and he's like, oh, sorry, I'm gonna take a call. And then he's like, now when he takes the call, he's like, I've gotta go and cut this a bit short. I'm gonna be off.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, not again, some other guy just playing me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then doesn't she get a call from the creepy guy from her date, Todd Phelps?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, we need to see you. And then because he's a client of the firm, she has to sort of like deal with his stuff.
Yeah.
And then she meets him, and he's like, oh yeah, I've got this vibranium spear. He's trying to boast about it. And she's like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Basically,
how much money I spent on this? She's like, I think probably when the colonizers go and took that from the people of Africa, it's not exactly. So you basically paid for stolen goods from the people. Yeah. It's like, okay,
sort of, but that's not the real reason I want you here. And he tries to hit on her again.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I've had enough of this. I'm going.
Yeah.
And then that's when she gets a phone call from Leapfrog, right?
Yeah.
Saying he's getting chased.
Yeah.
So then she's like, oh, I've got to go. A client needs me. So then we follow Leapfrog getting chased by someone. We don't know who at this point.
Yeah.
And he Tokyo drifts up the building, because that's literally a scene from Tokyo Drift.
Yeah.
And then the person chasing him jumps on a car. You hear a dump or whatever. And then he goes right up to the top of the building, a car park, and She-Hulk. Does he stop the car?
I think he
swerves
brakes the car.
Yeah, and swerves. And then a figure rolls off, and you're like, who could that be? And we see the golden red suit of the Daredevil.
Yeah. Which, by the way, because obviously, I'm sure Daredevil from the 60s did have the red and gold. The red and yellow uniform.
Yeah, red and yellow.
Yeah, with the waistcoat, right?
Yeah.
But I'm glad they tweaked it where it didn't look too it's not obnoxiously bold in color.
No, like changing it from like gold to yellow to gold made more sense.
Yeah.
And
I do kind of prefer like I do kind of prefer this then to the red and black.
Yeah, same.
Because the torsos are all uniform color.
Yeah.
At some point, I'm sure they're going to make it full red.
Yeah, they will.
Would make sort of sense. It'd probably be like two different shades of red, a bit like the Flash costume, But anyways,
we'll find out in like 2 years. Is it a year?
yeah. But yeah, So she like Leapfrog. Not Leapfrog. Eugene, because he's not in his costume.
Yeah.
You need to drive away. I'll deal with this guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, the guy in the costume, Daredevil's like, well, I don't think you are gonna actually deal with me.
Yeah. This is more than you think it is.
Yeah.
And
So
then,
she tries to swipe at him. He ducks. So it actually is quite a decent a skirmish for
Yeah.
a lady who's untrained and a guy who fights like a ninja.
yeah.
Yeah, and you can tell what your movements are.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm gonna kick your ass, and she stomps the ground, makes a big crack while he just kind of leaps across the cracks, a bit like Legolas in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
No, in what's the prequel, The Hobbit, right?
Yeah,
Except that he's not jumping in mid-air
No.
and stuff like that, right? He lands. He swings up on the car and he goes. He smirks. He's like, "Well, my ass remains unkicked." And I like that line because it's like, this is Matt Murdock kind of flirting with Jen, rather than She-Hulk fighting Daredevil. Because it made sense to me. It's like he wouldn't act this way normally,
No,
but just because he knows who she is and she doesn't know who he is, so he's like being a little bit more,
cheeky.
Yeah, exactly. So then he does parkours all the way down the car park, right, which has many floors.
Yeah, she's like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Swings in, lands down, two-pillar landing, right? Goes to chase the car. She just jumps down from the top and lands at the bottom. He's like, no.
Yeah, like, damn.
So, but because he's quite a distance away, she does the Hulk thunderclap.
Yeah.
Which sends him flying into another car.
Yeah.
While Leapfrog is out of the range of the effects.
Yeah.
He's driving off. He smashes into the car. She just walks over to him. She's like, "No, Jen, no." She just basically takes off his helmet. He's like, "Did you really have to?"
Yeah. She's like, "Oh, it's you."
No, first of all, he's like covering his ears, but stuff like that. But he's like, "You just walk up and demask someone. Come on now."
Yeah.
But, and then she shrinks down into Jen form. And she's like, "Oh, Matt, it's you." They kind of pick up kind of where they left off from the bar, but kind of not. She goes, I'm Daredevil. She's like, I never heard of him. He's like, oh, well, you
should have. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, what? Why haven't you?
But I did like, that's kind of like an inside joke if you think about it, because remember the whole Daredevil does exist in the MCU, then it didn't sort of thing. So yeah. And then now it does because they have the rights to it. Yeah.
So he basically said, "Look, I'm going to go to here's where Leapfrog was going to, the Lily Pad. He has some club called the Lily Pad."
Yeah, because he's kidnapped Luke Jacobson, which I've been trying to tell you, but you tried to fight him. He's like, "Oh, my bad."
Yeah. But then you're gonna think, okay, so Matt, why didn't you just say this at the beginning?
Yeah.
But he was just being like, he was just not deliberately being obnoxious or anything, just being like, yeah.
See, this would be a good time to do an inside joke in the thing as well. Yeah. I mean, sorry, inside joke. A fourth wall break.
Yeah.
Yeah, she could have done that. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
So he's like, all right, well, here we are at the lily pad, right? So this is what I'm going to do. There's 25 goons. I'm going to take them all out one by one, probably about 30 seconds each or something, but I'll sneak in there, and then we could get Luke out and we'll be done and dusted, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, we could just all go in there and beat them up because I'm a Hulk and you're a ninja.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, probably not.
Yeah.
Trust me, I've done this many a time. Yeah.
We'll do it my way. And she's like,
well,
I'm a Hulk. I'm not going to just stand here while you do all this anyway. It's like, yes, you will.
yeah. So then they do a little sequence like it is out of the Daredevil Netflix series where he's beating up a bunch of goons, like one by one. Where they're talking about, should we call ourselves froglings or tadpoles?
Tadpoles, yeah.
Aren't they the same thing? And then they get smashed by a baton, right?
Yeah.
And he's taking them down in the hallway on the one side, and then you see a whole bunch of goons pop up on the other side of the hallway, and then you see you have that like Daredevil film play it. He takes his batons out, and you're like, all right, he's just gonna do what he's gonna do a oneer and fight everyone while the camera's moving around them, right?
Yeah.
No, they rush towards him. She helps bust through the wall.
Yeah, takes them all out with one thing. Yeah.
And he's like, okay, but they know we're here now, so yeah, we might as well just go full front then, right?
Yeah. I love
So She-Hulk's just smashing her way through everyone. They rescue Luke. There's Eugene saying, "Well, you can't do this because you're my lawyer and stuff like that. I've hired you. You can't. It's a kind of attorney privilege, right?" And Daredevil's like, "Well, no, because this, your criminal activities and stuff like that." And they're like, "Were you some kind of lawyer?" And he goes, "I just like watching daytime TV programs, like Judge Judy."
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know, Daredevil. I don't know if I'm buying what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
But
well, it checks out kind of.
Leapfrog tries to escape. He does the Marty Jannetty where he jumps out the window to escape. Hurts himself when he falls outside because his jet boots ain't working. Breaks his legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a loser. Yeah.
Jen's like, Jen's turned back into Jen. She-Hulk's turned back to Jen while the police arrive. Daredevil's like sitting at the top of the lily pad, waiting for her to deal with all the police stuff. Because fair enough, Jen could be there, right? But due to the devil's like,
you can't be there, really. Can you?
Yeah, a ketchup and mustard. I think someone called it a ketchup and mustard coloured suit.
Yeah.
And she goes on the top of the lily pad to speak to him, and she's like, he's like, what? I wish I could have stayed here a bit longer because I got to go back the next day. We could have had a date, we could have had dinner, stuff like that. She goes, "Why don't we skip all that?" And he comes straight back to my place.
Yeah. You're like, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah. He's like, all right, sure, sure, why not?
Yeah, I got on her. She knows what she wants.
Yeah, and then the next day he's like doing the walk of shame in his Daredevil costume.
Yeah.
With his boots off and stuff like that. While Nikki's running in the opposite direction, he goes, did you see a guy in the devil costume? And she's like, yeah, because she's a big dirty smile on her face.
Yeah,
Nikki's like,
oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
then
know exactly.
Nikki's like, you need to get ready for the award show, and then She-Hulk does the fourth wall break. She's like, wait, so this is how this episode ends? Oh, okay. I thought it'd be something bigger than this, but no, if that's where we're going, cool, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then she gets all dressed up for the gala thing, so they go, and she's like super excited because she thinks she's winning an award.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that it's an award that they're giving to like 5 women at once.
All the women, all the female lawyers, yeah.
So
and it's just one of them, what's it called? I don't want to say a participation award, right? But it's just like, you're women, we give you all the we'll give you all the women awards.
It was sort of like a pandering award.
Yeah.
And then Jen's like, oh great. So they're all there. So all the women there give a speech, all that. And then Jen goes to give her speech, and while she's doing it, the screen behind her gets hacked, and it's the intelligentsia saying that She-Hulk's a fraud. You're gonna see what she really is. And then they leak all her like messages and stuff, and then they show a sex tape of her and
they don't show.
Well, they don't show it, but they show it, but we don't see it.
Yeah. She smashed the screen, but what they're showing is like all her search history and stuff like that. But they skew it towards like her dating profile and stuff like like.
And they say she's a slut as well. And you're like, oh wow.
They wanted to go in that direction, so they just showed the exact stuff that will strengthen their case.
Yeah.
Right. But I was thinking, okay, wouldn't it be like, as far as the series is concerned, right? Wouldn't it be more outrage, like cause more outrage to her? If, like, okay, she was with that Josh guy, yeah. But if she didn't sleep with him, for example, if they just kind of like was having a movie night, whatever, right? And then they basically slut shamed her, but she never slept with him, sort of thing.
Yeah.
That would have probably called like, oh yeah, we're deliberately poking at her because it's not true, and we want to frame her as this.
Yeah.
But because I thought that'd be more of something that you'd be like, it's not true. Why are you trying to make me look that way?
Why are you trying to make me look that way?
But because then as well, I feel like it's super cringe if you have your tape playing in the background and stuff like that. And they didn't not to say they didn't need to go that way, but it's just like, I think it would more be effective if they didn't go that way.
Yeah,
and they just tried to shame her without having the evidence to do so. Like claiming they have the evidence, but not actually having it. You know?
Yeah, I get you mean. Yeah.
So she starts smashing stuff.
Yeah, she hulks out, basically, properly hulks out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're like sworn by damage control. Like, you know, they're like, well, you gotta like they got all the guns out and stuff like that, and they're like, you gotta calm down, She-Hulk.
Yeah.
You've caused so much damage.
Yeah, because Nikki's
blah.
like, you need to calm down, because if not, it's gonna get worse. And then she sort of shrinks down a bit to normal She-Hulk.
Yeah.
And then it ends there, that episode.
Yeah. And and then the next episode you basically see her, she's like under house arrest.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, the shame, you know?
Yeah, wait, does she wake? No, she wakes up in the cell that Abomination was in.
Oh, no. Sorry. Let's backtrack. No, yeah, just before she does that, right?
Yeah.
She wakes up. It starts with the intro of the 70s Hulk show.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Jennifer Walters with the radiation of her. Like, they make it sound like, because they put her in the contraptions and all that stuff, like as though she was the one who got imbued with gamma rays and stuff like that, and then she's standing saying, don't make me angry, you won't like me when I'm angry, and stuff like that.
And then it shows
car
the
crash.
kind of, yeah.
And they even get a fake suited up She-Hulk person painted green.
Yeah.
Just for this.
That was awesome.
And then they do the exact same thing where she's flipping. It's like she's in a car accident. She flips the car over. Her suit, her clothes start bursting.
Yeah.
And then she's on the run because the creature claimed the life of Jen Walters and stuff like that. Yeah. I was like, oh, this is hilarious.
This is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he even did the freeze frame where the She-Hulk's yelling while Jen is not, you know?
Yeah.
And then she wakes up,
Yeah, and then they're like, you know, we can get you out of here, but you need to agree to one thing, and she does, and you find out that she's got to wear an inhibitor.
Yeah.
And she is not allowed to turn to the She-Hulk anymore.
Yeah.
And she gets upset about that because she didn't have a choice not to be She-Hulk anymore. It was kind of taken away from her. Yeah. And then because she can't turn to She-Hulk no more, she gets fired by the place she works for.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's pretty crappy.
Yeah.
And why this is all going on, Nikki and Pug Nikki's been working around the clock to try and figure out who the intelligentsia are.
Yeah.
And she finds out when she was earlier, she visits Jen at her mum and dad's house because she's moved back in with them because she hasn't got a job, so she can't afford to live where she live in. Yeah. And her mum has like an embarrassing video of Jen in college when she's twerking. Yeah. So she sends it to Nikki, and Nikki's like, okay, I know this is gonna get me into intelligentsia if I send this. Sorry, Jen. So she posts it, and then like sort of says, I can't remember what she says about Jen in the post, and then literally 2 seconds after that, she's getting all these hits. So like, yeah, she's a slut, blah blah blah. Hey, bro.
even though she's only dancing around in her pajamas.
Yeah. So it's like, these men are weird.
Yeah.
So then they're like, yeah, oh, you should come to our event. And she's like, yeah, sure, woo. And then they went bro at the end. It's like, oh, they think I'm a dude.
Yeah.
So then she gets Pug to help her infiltrate the meeting of the intelligentsia.
Now, which is funny because he can't lie for Jack, even though he's a lawyer.
Yeah.
And you know how, okay, technically it's not lying if your truth is obscured.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, technically. But you can't even do that.
Yeah, and because he's not like a douchey man either, he can't say anything bad about women. So that bit comes quite funny as well.
He's like, oh, women, you're right.
Yeah,
right,
am I right? Yeah.
yeah.
And then, so while this is all going on, Jen's still on house arrest. Well, not house arrest, she's just bored. So he's like, you know what? I need to ring Bruce, see how maybe he can help me with this sort of stuff. He's not answering. And then she tries to ring Emil Bronsky, and he's not answering either. It's like, you know what? He did say if I ever feel down, I should come to the ranch. So she takes a trip to the ranch, and she meets one of the Wrecking Crew dudes. I think is he Wrecker? Can't remember. Either way, so he starts talking to her, and he kind of helps her, says like really nice things to her. She's like, yeah, you know what? You're right. I don't need to be the. I'm glad that people are here for me and all stuff. And then he offers her a tea. He goes, that vampire dude, he makes it, but sometimes puts chicken blood in it, so you gotta watch out for that. So they drink the tea, and he drinks it and goes, I kind of miss the chicken blood. And then Jen goes off to go and see Emil Blonsky in his ranch, in one of his ranches, because he's hired out for an event.
Yeah.
And then this is when Nikki and Nat figure out that the leader of the intelligentsia is the creepy dude from one of the first dates that Jen went on with Todd Phillips.
He turns around, Pug sees him, and Pug's like, oh, snap. And the guy's like, oh, yeah, Pug, yes. I always knew you were one of us.
Yeah,
I always
Pug's
knew.
Like,
I knew you wouldn't be working with those women. If blah blah blah, trying to cuss them down and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I knew he was the man behind them all this time and stuff like that.
You're like, wow, this is so cringe.
Yeah. And Todd's like, so Todd's like, oh yeah, I've we're all here united our hate of the She-Hulk, right? Of the women that have the powers that don't deserve it. And then they're talking about, why is there a female form? There's a male form. Why do we need a female one?
Yeah.
Like, what?
And then he goes, yeah, because not just saying that because she's a woman, but if it was a man, I wouldn't be saying the same thing. I would say the same thing. Like, everything you just said makes no sense.
It's the deliberately contradictory things that you say, right?
Yeah.
Then you try to backpedal, even though you're like, no, there's no backpedaling. You said exactly what you said.
Yeah. Like, oh. And the worst thing, there's people out there like this. That's why I was like, this is so stupid.
It's so true. It's so true to the life, right?
Yeah. It's like, oh god.
So,
that's
they're like, oh, welcome our special guest, who Emil Blonsky, the Abomination. So he comes in his Abomination form, and he's like, yeah. So people, right? We got to start loving ourselves a bit more and stuff like that. It's like, wait a minute, right? Because the way he was speaking and the way this guy was speaking, like the Todd guy was saying, it was like, does the Abomination even know that he's...
Yeah, that's how I got from it. Like, he doesn't even know what's going on, does he?
No, he's like, I'm here to help you guys reach the pinnacle of what you should be in humanity, right?
Yeah.
You got to raise your spirits, people, and stuff like that. They're like, you're here because you're Hulk, right?
Yeah.
And you hate the She-Hulk as much as us or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
and he's like,
there's a massive disconnect somewhere, right?
Yeah, you're both not on the same page right now, you know.
No, but he never comes across as he was part of intelligentsia.
Nah.
Like, he's like, I've just been hired as a guest speaker, and that's the spiel I'm going for.
Yeah, I'm
and he
getting
doesn't
paid.
realize, you know.
Yeah. That's what I liked about that. I was like, because I thought it was going to be some stupid twist that he was in it at all. But I was like kind of glad that it didn't go that route. I was like, thank God for that. That's kind of good.
So Jen busts in there, She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Right? Emil's like, oh, hold up, Jen. First of all, I think she comes in as Jen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she comes in as Jen. She sees Todd. It's like, what's going on here, Emil? Why are you hulking up? Why have you abominated up, right?
Yeah.
He goes, no, I'm just here as a guest speaker. No, I've just been hired for this event. I don't.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what. I'm not part of these whatever, right? I'm just here. Yeah, they paid me money, right? I'm here to talk.
Yeah.
And then Todd's like, no, I tell you why we're all here, right? Because you have power you don't deserve, and I'm going to take that. In fact, I've already got it. I've already got your blood, right? And I've synthesized it so I can have your powers because as a man, I'm better than you, essentially. Right?
Yeah, and you're like...
Okay. So you're saying she don't deserve powers, but you're randomly going to take powers you don't deserve.
Yeah, that's what I was like, your logic makes no sense. You're having to go her for getting powers accidentally.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't deserve it, but then you took it and didn't deserve it either.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he injects himself with the Hulk blood.
Yeah.
The synthesized Hulk blood, which does nothing for a little bit, right? Tension. And then he starts bulking up in his arm, like from where he injected himself, and then he starts bulking up a bit more and stuff like that. And he's like, oh yeah, blood, yeah
bro. Yeah, you're like, oh god, he's a bro. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Titania just pops out of nowhere, smashes into the lodge to fight. Blonsky turns back into an abomination to protect Jen.
Yeah.
And then Hulk crashes through.
Yeah, from space apparently.
Yeah, it's like, well, I'm here. Abomination, you let go of that woman. You let go of my cousin.
Yeah.
I'm here to fight. And I have to say, Abomination looks massive, right?
Yeah.
Smart Hulk looks smaller.
Yeah.
But does that mean Savage Hulk was that tall to begin with?
Must be, yeah.
Or do you think Abomination he looked like, okay, let's say Smart Hulk's like 7 foot, 8 foot, or something like that?
We'll say 8 foot. Just be nice, yeah.
Yeah. And Abomination looked like he was
like 10,
15?
Yeah.
12?
Yeah.
We didn't look double the size of him, right?
No. But he looked noticeably taller. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
and then
also like, as well in the original in Incredible Hulk, remember Abomination was kind of like hunched over.
Yeah.
And now he's like sort of standing upright and tall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That could be it.
Yeah, it's like when Clark Kent hunches over and stands up as Superman. All of a sudden, he gains about 6 inches in height, right?
Yeah.
So, but Abomination being proportionally taller, he gains a foot in height plus if he stands up straight. I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
But Jen's watching all this stuff and she's like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
Hold on a second. And then it goes to the Marvel. Go on.
That's it. She's sitting there. She's like, none of this makes any sense.
Yeah.
I was sitting there like, she's right. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. It's almighty convenient.
Yeah. And then you see it kind of, you hear a dunk, and then it goes to the Disney Plus Marvel page.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, what's going on? Because I was sitting there like, have I pressed anything?
Yeah.
And then
she starts talking over it, so you realise, go on.
Yeah, and that bit was all. Then she kicks out one of the panels. You're like, okay, what am I looking for? And then she swings down to Marvel Assemble, kicks into that, and then she's in the real world, like walking through the Disney movie lot bit. And you're like, and everyone's looking at her like, wait, what's going? Wait, what? How is she here? And then she walks into the writer's room, and then starts saying like, so you're the people that are writing this, yeah? None of this makes sense. What's going on?
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, we didn't write this. Kevin did. He sees all. And like, right, I want to see Kevin's. Like, no one sees Kevin. She goes, I want to see Kevin. And then she goes looking for him, beats up 3 security guards.
Yeah.
And then she gets to where Kevin should be. And they're like, okay. She meets some, the receptionist. He's like, okay. You want to see Kevin? Like, yeah, I want to see Kevin. Like, okay, so you're going to sign this disclaimer form, blah, blah, blah. So he signs it. Then he presses a button. And she's like, why'd you make me sign it if you're going to do this? She goes, well, everyone has to sign the non-disclaimer. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
Sure. And then she breaks through a room and then she finds what we think is Kevin as human. But it's actually like this robot. And what does Kevin actually stand for again? 1 second.
Wow.
I'm trying to see if it's here.
Yeah.
No,
I do. By the way, I do like it how they basically try to direct it as it's Kevin Feige.
Yeah,
they call it Kevin, but then it's an acronym Kevin.
Yeah,
Knowledge Enhanced Visual Interconnectivity Nexus.
Yeah,
which doesn't sound as clunky as it should.
No, exactly. It doesn't sound clunky like MODOK.
Yeah.
And then they start talking, and he's like, "Well, the MCU follows a specific form, so yeah, let's get kind of boring. Everything has some big fight at the end. Like, why?"
Yeah.
And he's like,
"Yeah,
you
like,
kind of have a point."
Yeah. And she's just like breaking down the Marvel, the standard, I'm not saying the Marvel formula, but standard movie formulas.
Yeah.
Where you get, big fights, all the storylines conclude, jump together for the third act or what, like the stuff for the finale and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Why is this? Why is this done this way? And see, like, do you have to have it done that way? And it's like, all right, so what do you propose, Jen?
And then when he's about to do that, he goes, by the way, can you turn back to normal because your CGI is too expensive?
Okay. But can you do it, by the way, when the camera focuses on me?
Yeah. I like that.
So we don't have to do CGI to shrink you down.
Yeah. I was like,
But you hear
oh.
the sound, right?
Yeah.
And then it goes back to her. And she's back to being Jennifer Walters, and she's
Yeah.
like sitting down. She goes, and Kevin's like, "Why you sit down?" And goes, just I guess more comfortable on the floor
Yeah.
like this.
And then she asks all these questions. She goes, "Okay, I've got some other questions. When are we gonna get this?
Yeah.
And when's this happening? And when we get the X-Men?" I like that bit. And then she like looks at the screen and puts a thumbs up. It's like, that's hilarious. And he was like, "I can't tell you." And it's like,
Yeah. But Kevin said, "Look, we'll adjust some things as you asked, some things here and there, to make things." I mean, look, she's like, "Look, it's the legal comedy, right? It's not a super adventure thingy-jig, yeah." I mean, like,
and I was like, "Yeah, it's true. It's that.
it's true." Yeah, exactly. So we don't need all this massive hoodoo ha
Yeah.
stuff at the end. So as long as it all makes sense, we can do it this way. I'm like, all right.
I was like,
so
make some good points. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, okay. So we don't need Hulk coming to save me because
why
he's disappeared from it. The thing is, what's he doing at the end, anyways? Right?
Yeah.
It's just why is he there? How does he know where we are in the first place? Anyway, right?
Real good questions. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you should stop Todd getting superpowers because
again
we don't need a big fight at the end because we all, we also don't need Abomination turning into Abomination. You just need to make sure that his arc concludes by him being accepting for his actions.
Yeah.
Because, he's now turned in, he's broken his parole, right?
Yeah.
Let's have it in daylight instead of nighttime. Oh, and by the way, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Can you bring back Daredevil?
Yeah.
For a little bit?
Yeah, because the girl wants to get hers. I was like,
all right.
Like,
and she's like, how about a season 2 as well?
Yeah.
And Kevin's like, we're finished for the day.
Though he goes, "Oh no, we're seeing the big screen." It's like, really? He's like, "No." I was like,
yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
So basically they conclude, as she said. I mean, Todd gets arrested. He's not hulked up. This is the thing, is like, did some of this happen and some of this didn't happen, or did he just never hulk up in the first place?
Guessing didn't hulk up.
But then again, Abomination did hulk up and he broke his parole. So
yeah, because I'm guessing he came into the
thing as Abomination.
Yeah,
right?
and then he hulked.
Then returned.
Yeah. Something I can think of, which makes sense.
Yeah, then Daredevil drops in out of nowhere, by the way, because if they're in a retreat where did he swing down from? I love that. Bit. Yeah.
Like, why?
And he's like, I'm here to help, and she's like, it's
really sorted.
Yeah, he's already sorted. Don't worry about nothing. Yeah. Blonsky's going back to prison for 10 years because he violated his parole.
And I like how he's like, yeah, no. She goes, if you sign this, you're mad prison. Yeah, I know. I've got to be accountable for what I did. I was like,
yeah. Fair enough.
Growth, yeah.
Yeah. And then it ends basically with Matt sitting with the Walters family.
Yeah. The Walters and the Banners, I get. Wait, would it be the Banners? Wait. I don't know. Whatever side of the family of Bruce's, we say the Walters, yeah.
Yeah, and they're dating. And they're like, I think was what's her auntie trying to hit on Matt?
Yeah.
And then the uncle pulls her away. And they're talking about, Matt, do you make a lot of money? And Matt's like, well, it's pro bono. And they're like, I don't, like,
to have kids in LA, it costs a lot. And they're like, wait, what? Kids?
Wait a minute, just hold on a second here.
I'm here for the weekend.
yeah. And then Bruce does it. Smart Hulk Bruce makes his appearance, right?
Yeah.
I'm back from Sakaar. And as soon as you said Sakaar, I was like, oh no, something's up.
Because that's I was like, oh, what's happened?
Yeah, he steps to the side and he's like, this is my son.
Scar. You're like,
yeah.
Oh.
Right.
And I literally thought, one of the things, like, I never thought I'd see Scar in any sort of like live action capacity. So I was like, oh, okay.
But
cool.
if there was anyone who's going to see it, it'd be this, because it's jokes. It's like, how much of this, I don't want to say is in continuity or isn't continuity, but they can make fun of themselves and do goofy stuff like this, and you're like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So after being cleared of like, okay, she hulked out for a reason, right? But then they
Yeah.
clear everything because the intelligentsia made her Hulk up,
Yeah.
and then tried to shame her for being a woman and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, well, she's walking to a courthouse, right? And the interviewer's asking her a question, and
Yeah.
she's like, "Yep, people like Phelps have to be held responsible for actions, and she'd come after anyone who'd hurt innocent people." And then like they're like the reporter's like, "As a lawyer or super?" And she's like, "As both." And then she kind of swaggers her way into the
Yeah.
courthouse.
I was like, that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I was like, okay, quite a suitable ending.
Yeah.
I like how basically, like you were saying, it works in the series, and it's as they say, it's completely different to how any other thing ended, but it's how the best way. Actually, funny enough, I mean, her suggestions
Hmm.
were the best way that this thing could have went in that direction. Didn't need to come out like be a massive climax to
Yes.
destroy, especially when you have three. So you have three Hulks in there,
Hmm.
and Titania, another superpowered individual, and yeah, Todd, and a
Yeah.
She-Hulk and Abomination and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah. It was
probably
good to have a
Daredevil would have got.
different ending.
How many people would have got killed in that melee? By the
Yeah.
way?
Exactly. Yeah. It was kind of good just have a not your typical Marvel / superhero ending. Yeah. I liked
Yeah,
it.
and I did like how they basically pointed out, well, budget is probably a reason for some of this stuff.
Yeah. I love that stuff as well.
Yeah, so I enjoyed the series. I was everything kind of suited as it went along.
Yeah.
A lot of it made I'll say a lot of it made sense, but it clearly made sense to as it is, and I didn't mind how she broke the fourth wall and stuff like that.
No. Because
Yeah,
they did it in a good way as well. So it's like,
then I think they sowed the seeds for the fourth wall breaking,
yeah.
so it could get to a climax, and the climax make the last episode, and it makes sense.
Yeah, because if literally imagine if they only did a fourth wall break in there, that would have been like, wait, what?
Yeah, I they kind of showed bits and pieces, then escalated it a bit more, like with the fourth wall breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
But what I like most of all is it's breezy and fun, and it goes by quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like I say, it's not. But like we said in the beginning, it's not too serious. I mean, you don't have to watch it,
No.
and it doesn't affect any continuity. It's
No.
just with a little side story, a slice of life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that happens aside from the main, like you don't everything connected to the main story of whatever like phases coming up next. I know like most films were connected to the Infinity Saga,
Yeah.
the first three phases, but sometimes you're like, oh yeah, there's got to be some story's got to happen that not connected to the Infinity Saga, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So would you the Secret War Saga or the Kang Saga, whatever
I definitely
that's coming up next?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this is not. I don't want to say this is not directly connected to that or anything like that. It's just like just living in a world of superheroes, and this is what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
nothing. It's just an enjoyable thing because I know a lot of people's complaints is that it's not your it's a lot. Some people think it's man hating in it. I'm like, I don't really see that, but
No.
okay, if you want to look that deep into it, whatever. Or because it's not like enough action like the other ones, but it's like
Yeah.
the action's kind of not like. Don't get me wrong, I still like the action film, but sometimes you kind of need a break from it at this point because
Yeah. Well, not everything has to be formula.
yeah,
That's the best way I could put it, and that's
Yeah.
what they point out here as well. So
yeah,
fair enough. Fair enough.
so I'm happy with it.
Yeah. So yeah.
Nothing needs doesn't. All the things don't need to be like world shattering events or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. And for the powers that she has, how little it affects everything going on.
Yeah.
It's quite neat, actually.
Yeah.
It just happens to be she's a lawyer that happens to have superpowers, and this is what's happening around her.
Yeah.
Rather than like, oh, she has to go on she actually is going on an adventure pops her way.
Yeah.
You know?
Or she's got she's a lawyer. She's got superpowers now. So let's forget about the lawyer part. And now she's just
Exactly.
Yeah, nah, we don't need that.
Yeah. I will give her a rewatch. Binge it together. Maybe like sometimes when you rewatch stuff, it's actually better when you see it all in one bunch.
Yeah.
Some things aren't, right? But some things are. So I'll check it. I'll probably rewatch it in a binge because like I said, 79 episodes, about 20 minutes each. If you don't worry about the credits.
Yeah.
And see if it actually not necessarily flows better, but it's just like one of those things where you're like moving from one to another. I'd have to wait week for week for it and start going, I wonder what's going to happen. Oh, I wonder when Daredevil's going to finally make its appearance because the trailer showed that,
Yeah. It's best this way. Like, But
yeah. So that'll be us signing off, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm the man who makes knockoff Avengers and Avengers t-shirts, CY Chan.
And I am the man who fills his jet boots with jet fuel instead of the recommended fuel, and I become a cripple. Carl Charles. Oh, don't know why I said it like that. And thank you for listening to our review of The She-Hulk, Attorney of Law, a Disney Plus original. Let us know if you enjoyed it. What was your favorite parts? Did this awaken your weird fetish for muscly green ladies like some people?
Yeah. Or Jade Cargill when she was painted green. Green for money, right?
Green for money, because we can't see the Hulk legally. Yeah. Yes, no. What was your favorite parts? Do you think there'll be a season 2? I reckon they should be. Was your fan?
If only because it doesn't need to be. It could just be one of those shows where you're like, yep, this is going to be a funky show. We're going to have on the side just for the lols, you know?
And I reckon if it went that way, this could go on for a while.
Yeah,
like, it's one of those
it's got legs.
Yeah, it could work. And yes, let us know. Are you looking forward to the next part of the not Infinity? What's coming next? The Kang / Secret Wars / whatever saga. Let us know in the comments. Remember to share this with your friends. Give us a like. If you've got any suggestions for anything, just drop us a message and we'll see what we can do. But until next time, guys, thank you for taking a trip with us around the multiverse. Bye.
My car!
You need to back off.
And waste this outfit?
Eugene, get out of here!
No super suit!
You're making a mistake.
You made a mistake when you messed with my client!
Because now I'm gonna whoop your ass.
My ass remains unwhooped.
Yeah, let's fix that.
Where are you going? We're not done.
You're very persistent, aren't you?
You're very annoying.
Come on!
Gotcha.
Whoa, Jet.
Matt?
Wait, do you pretend to be blind, man? Because that is really problematic.
No, I'm blind. Relax. I have a spatial method that I use to see.
Oh, like echolocation.